A very, very good afternoon. Friday, the 5th of May, election day in Oldham. And no, I have not dressed up for it for you. I was in court this morning. This is probably a first. This is probably a first. Irish Immy, that's the convicted getaway driver of the Oldham cop killer Dale Cregan and failed Viagra salesman. Irish Immy, actually he's a convicted drug dealer as well, a seriously convicted drug dealer as well, was on trial today for breaching his harassment, breaching his restraining order against me. He wasn't in court when I spoke to the CPS this morning when I was in the witness space, and then for some reason, he wasn't in court. He has turned up, it seems, at the count. And they came back to me and told me he'd pleaded guilty. So Irish Immy was convicted in court for breaching his restraining order this morning at Manchester Court. And this afternoon, he's helping coordinate the Labour Party campaign alongside the likes of James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon MP, Debbie Abrahams MP, Arud Shah, Amanda Chariton and all the others at the Civic Centre. Someone who was convicted hours earlier is now currently in the Civic Centre. Welcome to Oldham. My name is Miah and that's why I've got the tie on, because I actually turned up to court as I was meant to, and I was always taught to be respectful. So that is why. In fact, I can see myself in the mirror and I can take this button off now, I think, and if I had the time from when I got in. I stopped to have lunch with Amoy. Amoy Lindo, as you know, is standing in St. James. I stopped to have some lunch with her and I came in. So let me bring you immediately up to speed. Across the country, Labour Party are taking seats. Left, right and centre. They're winning all over the place. So the challenge in Oldham is even harder for the independents, because the Labour Party are on a national incline, winning seats everywhere. They've manipulated the country by campaigning on national issues at a local election, but more fool every one of you that doesn't read and doesn't politically educate yourselves. That's on you, I think. So if someone's manipulating you, that's on you. In Oldham, the fight was really, can we hold the independent seats we have? Can the Conservatives hold in Oldham? Oldham is not a traditional Conservative area. And regardless of what the Conservatives say, the gains they've made in Oldham is a consequence of our campaign and our work rather than the town turning Conservative. And of course, can new independents break through? It was always going to be hard for us. I'm not sure exactly what all the results are. Well, no results so far that I know of yet in Oldham. But it's been hard. I think there will be some serious losses for us, as well as maybe a pleasant surprise or two. The first loss I expect, as I predicted, many of you predicted, is in Coldust, where it looks like all 3 seats will go back to Labour. Remember, there were 17 candidates there, and it ended up being a free-for-all between a whole host of independents. Democracy is very much broken in Coldust. It's a Bangladeshi dominant ward, 17 candidates, and I think there was 1 candidate on that list that wasn't Bangladeshi and white. She was the Lib Dem candidate, Pendlebury, daughter of Keith Pendlebury. So there's something very, very wrong in Oldham, in our democracy, and Coldust amplifies it. Same with Werneth and St. Mary's. Werneth has had a record turnout, 54-55%. The record turnout I take with a pinch of salt, because I doubt very much 54 or 55% of people actually voted. It'd be interesting to see the postal vote response there and how many of them were written in the same ink, never mind the same hand. And same in St. Mary's, something like 50%. Arud Shah looks like she's back in the council. So those of you hoping for Arud Shah shock, it looks like she will be back in the council, and the freak show will resume while she celebrates this evening with someone who was convicted this morning. Maybe Jim McMahon will be at the party as well. Who knows? In Failsworth East and Failsworth West, it looks like the Failsworth Independents have got over the line uncontested in Failsworth East. And it looks like it's all, well, it looks challenging in Failsworth West, let's just say, where the Mark Wilkinson and his team were hung out to dry by Brian Hoban, who also put up Failsworth Independent Party candidate in Failsworth West. It is increasingly looking as though Labour have took at least one of those seats, if not two of those seats. So the Failsworth dream, the Failsworth Independent dream is well and truly over, I think. In Chadderton South, Warren Bates is causing mayhem. I hear he's holding up well. Outside chance of third. It looks like at the moment he's in fourth place. So, let's see what Warren comes up with. Amoy is doing really well. I'm hoping we can get her over the line. Gary, not so much in Saddleworth, where it looks like in Saddleworth South people have either voted Lib Dem or Conservative. I think if the Conservatives are in trouble in Saddleworth South, it looks like they're in trouble from the Liberal Democrats rather than the Independent. In Saddleworth North, where the Oldham Borough Independents were up, it looks like they didn't even bother turning up to the count. The candidates, from what I can tell, have not even bothered turning up to the count. If that's the case, if that's the case, then I think that's the end of whatever that party is, because no one quite takes responsibility for that party, did they? I saw some nonsense just before the election where it wasn't Paul Eric's party, but Paul writes on behalf of them all the time, someone else. And I remember when I fell out with them, they were all, they were signing off Facebook posts anonymously. So God knows who runs that circus, but I think that circus is ended now in Saddleworth North at the very least. In Saddleworth Western Lees, where Paul Shilton is standing, and his team of Oldham Borough Independents, it doesn't look like they've got over the line there either. So if there is a dominant party to emerge in Saddleworth, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it might be, of the 9 seats there, I think at least 4 of them will go to the Liberal Democrats. In Shaw, Mark Ince is quietly confident, and we're also quietly confident. And in Royton South, we're also quietly confident. Remember, we're taking on the leader of Oldham Council, Amanda Chariton, and the Bashfefs, who have even resorted to trying to use his cancer for the sympathy vote to try and get him over the line. That's right. A candidate is using his illness to try and get sympathy to get the votes. Well, we'll see how much of that sympathy has worked, as we'll also see whether or not the £1 million bribe to Oldham Athletics has made a difference. In Hollingwood, the Conservatives are doing well. It seems like maybe they'll get 1, if not 2, over the line. And we are waiting for the results. I have nothing else to share with you really on that so far. David, good afternoon, David. David, you're at the count, aren't you? So if you've got an update, if anyone's got an update from the count, you're more than welcome to call me. I've connected the Bluetooth, and you can speak directly to people who are listening in. If you're new to these transmissions, there will be one more Recusant 9 transmission on Sunday before we stop for a rest, and whatever the format looks like afterwards will not come back until June. So I'm sure a malicious blogger will no doubt come along and say I've been banned or this or that. That's not the case. I am just completely exhausted. I've run myself into the ground. I have got court cases coming out of my ears, and I'm still here. And I've managed to support as many of the independents as possible. We've managed to crowdfund and support all of them. I think pretty much all of them in terms of funding their leaflets. And let's see what happens today. According to the MEN and Charlotte Green, the Labour are confident of picking up seats in some wards, but believe they could lose some in others, possibly even Royton South. And similarly, the Lib Dems seem to think it's possible they could pick up seats from the Tories, but the way votes are being counted with the all-out elections make it harder for candidates and campaigners to call it. So that is where we are at. Oh, Julie, I'm having more than a few days off. I won't be back at all in May. I think I'll do one transmission on Sunday, which is like to wrap everything up, and that will be it for May for me. Also, I'm not at all embarrassed to say my income has completely dried up, and my sponsors who are still continuing to support me, thank you very, very much. You've helped us get us over the line, but as it stands, this is just pretty much unsustainable from my point of view. But that's by the by. I will share this story with you, and I hear she's got over the line, by the way, Mohammed. I was getting reports of gangs of Pakistani men hanging outside the polling stations yesterday evening, intimidating women who were turning up to vote for Aisha, the other candidate against Arud Shah, the independent candidate against Arud Shah. How much of that you believe is up to you. I believe it because the source it came from, I've had information from before, and it's held up to scrutiny, but who knows. But it seems that all is not well in St. Mary's. Our democracy in this town is broken. There's no ambiguity, it's broken. The high turnout areas that they will be celebrating a high turnout because of high electoral fraud. It's no more complicated than that. High electoral fraud in St. Mary's, high electoral fraud in Wearmouth, high electoral fraud in Coldust. All centred around, of course, postal vote fraud. And when that wasn't enough, they were intimidating people at the ballot boxes. I hear that the police were even called yesterday. I mean, this is what we're up against. The Conservatives have just lost West Devon. These are like Conservative heartlands. The Conservatives have lost control of West Devon, and that's moved into no overall control. So that's what we're dealing with. I don't know why Bengalis are so scared of the Pakistanis either. I tend not to be scared, or try not to be scared of any of them, so irrespective of what the background is, Mohammed. But so it is. And the Lib Dems are on a wow. News coming in. Recount in Failsworth East. I don't know why or who for, but recount in Failsworth East. Failsworth East, of course, is Brian Hoban and his Failsworth Independent Party is standing. So if it's a recount in Failsworth East, it looks like the Labour Party will have come close at the very least, or the Failsworth Independent Party wanting a recount. I'll find out more, as I'm sure I will be told. Court's a very interesting place when you're a victim, because for the last so long I've been going and sat in the as a would-be as a defendant, as someone who who's going to be up in front of a judge rather than as a witness. I get to sit on a nice sofa, They gave me a coffee, water. Come and ask me if I was all right. You get none of that at the other end. So, mate, this is my thing, okay? Of the three mainstream parties, and if you're Asian, I wouldn't touch them. They're all, in fact, the one that's they're all involved. The way, in terms of misogyny, and use the word misogyny, look at the Conservative candidates and the way the Conservatives have conducted themselves with their Asian candidates. Asian men in the main. No, it's poor. My mum lives at the bottom of Chadderton near a polling station. It's the school on Victoria Street, and I went down and had a look, and there's queues of Bangladeshi men with their rosettes on, Labour, Lib Dem, Tory, whatever, and not one of them would know a Labour policy from a Lib Dem policy from a Tory policy. They've just imported third world politics and superimposed it over our political system, and our political parties have allowed it because it benefits them. I think that's what's took place. I think that's what's took place in Caldas. It's what's taking place in Chadderton Central, Wearmouth, Medlock, St Mary's, Alexandra. You know, at least 6 of the wards now. The turnout in Oldham was 35%. So it's apparently better than previous years, but I think it's better because of the uplift in the postal votes in the Muslim areas. But you know what's very interesting? Remember the scaremongering the Labour Party said about total disenfranchisement because of you needed voter ID? None of those fears have come out to mean anything. So that hasn't taken place there. There's a recount of the bundles of votes happening in Failsworth East Ward currently. This is not a full recount, but could potentially lead to one. So there's a recount of the bundles. We don't know why there's a recount of the bundles. But there is. Failsworth East, the councillors are Brian Hobin, Neil Hindle and Lucia Ray. So we'll see what's going on there. I think there are 2 Labour Party opposition candidates. Of course, Failsworth would have been a very, very different story had Brian Hobin and Mark Wilkinson and the fallout and he said, she said, one lot lied, the other lot reacted and responded on social media. If none of that had took place, of course, none of this would be taking place in Failsworth, and there would be six councillors, but now they're not. Margaret. Margaret's one of the ladies who filmed Stephen Bashforth last night, and she'll tell you herself she didn't go and follow Stephen Bashforth or Marie Bashforth at my instructions, and she filmed him and asked, I think it was Marie Bashforth, she asked some questions, and Stephen Bashforth just outright lied on social media yesterday about how he and his wife were accosted by people, harassed, intimidated. Well, he omitted that one was, I don't know, how old are you, Margaret? In your 70s, I would imagine, at least. And the other one was of a similar age, Denise Leach, who's normally here, who was out of breath, and she's well past, she's well pensioned already, is Denise. So, of course, he omitted that, and his entire narrative didn't match up to the reality of the video we posted. But Since when was that surprising in Oldham? Since when was that surprising in Oldham? It seems Labour are 18 votes behind the Failsworth Independent Party in Failsworth East. Labour are just 18 votes behind the Failsworth Independent Party. So I think that's what the recount is for. 18 votes, 19 votes, I don't know, very, very, very close. 18 votes behind. Labour are just 18 votes behind the Failsworth Independent Party. That would never have happened if there was a united Failsworth Independent Party. But that is on, in the main, on Brian Hoban. Good afternoon, Louise. Louise came all the way from Shrewsbury, I think, to campaign in Oldham. She's from Oldham originally, so she didn't just randomly come up here. But she came up earlier in the week, I think Wednesday, and campaigned up in Saddleworth South with Gary and his team. So a very good evening. There's 128 of you watching. There's 25 likes. There's very little going on right now until I find out. I've turned it on, so at least we can have a chat and I can bring you up to speed with what I know. What is confirmed so far is that Irish Imi has been convicted for breach of his restraining order and is now currently at the count, rubbing shoulders with his Labour Party pals. I think this is a first. Someone convicted in the morning, and in the afternoon they are at the count with MPs and councillors and council officers, and that is how corrupt this town is. That is how corrupt this town is, and that's why we've been fighting for as long as we have been in trying to hold this democracy up to some form of scrutiny. I think the chance of that is gone, Matt, in terms of no overall control. I think Labour will win seats. I don't know where, but I think Labour will win seats. So the 35 they came into, they will win some more seats. So whilst they might lose some seats, they'll win seats as well. I think no overall control, of course, would be a good thing. It's going to have to get messier before it gets better, or it's just going to go back to Labour, I think. And that is my opinion on it. Indeed, please like, please share, and we will see what comes back. In the meantime, I can try and find something to play, which
the reason you can sit here and
he won't have anything to say. Remember about the conviction of Irish Imi, how he was defending Irish Imi at the last, when it got adjourned, I think a few months ago, abusing me, harassing me. He won't say anything about the conviction of his associate, Dale Cregan's getaway driver and failed Viagra salesman, Irish Imi. I want to play this whilst we're waiting.
Here's what professional filmmakers said were their biggest mistakes they made when they first started. Number 1, I constantly used the wrong lenses in the wrong...
Play this, leave it in the background, and as soon as something comes up, I will speak.
In 2018, Home Secretary Sajid Javid announced the Home Office review into grooming gangs. It was a big moment. A British Muslim minister was brave enough to look at whether Pakistani men really were overrepresented as abusers. But in the aftermath of the Windrush scandal, the department was hypersensitive about race and did its best to block the report's publication. It took 130,000 signing a petition for it to be released.
But the report was a whitewash. It limply concluded that data collection on ethnicity was so poor that it was impossible to know the truth.
Rather than improve data collection, it said that the majority of abusers were white. However, the report it based that on found that 30% of abusers were white and 28% were Asian, despite whites making up 85% of the population and Asians just 8%. Clearly, Asians were vastly overrepresented in this kind of child abuse, being over 3 times more likely to be an abuser.
You're watching Deprogrammed. My name's Harrison Pitt, I'm a writer for the European Conservative, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Evan Riggs, who is a freelance journalist, and our special guest Charlie Peters, who is a presenter at GB News. And recently, Charlie, you've produced this documentary for GB News on what's in common parlance referred to as the grooming gangs phenomenon, but really we're talking about the sort of the systematic rape, exploitation, and brutalization of children at the hands of sort of predominantly Pakistani gangs. What's been the reaction to that documentary in the echelons of power?
Well, it's changed the law, first and foremost. That's the most important thing to know, is that it worked. We had 2 intentions when we made the film. It's just me and one producer. Of course, with the support of GB News and the various assistants it has provided. The mission was to restart a national conversation we never had when this problem started, or it was noticed by the mainstream just over a decade ago. The reporter at the Times, Andrew Norfolk, he kind of exposed the scandal originally in Rotherham, and then news has filtered through from other towns and other court records across the country to point to this being a national crisis. But as that discussion started, it was mealy-mouthed, it was minute, and it was heavily censored. And so I wanted to restart that, and I also wanted to investigate whether it was still going on today. We found that it was, and we also hoped to, in part of restarting that conversation, commit some change, and gave a series of recommendations, many of which the government picked up on in their change in the law earlier this month.
And what were those policies in particular?
Well, we said that the government needed to take a look at ethnicity data and hold the police and the government itself to account on recording ethnicity data. There has been a nervousness in discussing that issue within these abuse gangs. We also wanted stronger prison sentences for the grooming gang abusers, so facilitators of this sort of abuse should be punished further. All too often in the stories that we looked at, men were committing the most obscene acts and facilitating the abuse of others, and were released from prison after only a few years, often spending some time in open prisons, often returning to the same communities that their victims lived in. So that was the second big piece that we wanted. And then we also wanted a national crime agency supported and led task force. So the police could investigate areas where they believed or had credible reason that these abuse gangs were still operating. There are several such towns where insufficient investigation has taken place. And we know from Rotherham, the National Crime Agency has secured dozens of more prosecutions and is still working to secure justice for more survivors. We saw it as sort of, in our analysis, the gold standard organisation for achieving justice within the grooming gang scandal. All too often, local government and local police forces were mired in political correctness and a failure to adequately respond to these issues. But a national, kind of separate and, I think, more expert force could deliver the justice
tailored to this particular problem.
That's right. So that's what we've got.
So maybe it's just because I'm a stranger in a strange land here, but why has this taken so long? Like, what, political correctness aside, where is this nervousness coming from? Because it seems to me that in any sort of civilized society, the sort of mass industrial rape of young girls and women should be taken with the utmost seriousness.
Yeah.
And it seems from watching your documentary that the only thing that's been taken seriously is the desire to hide all of this and push it under the rug.
I think the overarching crisis we've had with this problem has been the prioritisation of community cohesion over the safety and security of young girls. That is the prioritisation of defending multiculturalism as a whole and the missions of liberalism and the sustenance of its justification in policy and in practice over young women and girls who are generally considered to be expendable by those people. I mean, this is a multifaceted issue. It's not just about nervousness about ethnicity, it's also about not caring about girls who are seen not really as working class but sort of underclass. And many people in the media, and I believe in politics as well, and local authorities, were happy for those girls to be characterised in that way, that they were out of control, wild girls, getting themselves into trouble. But actually, the model of grooming is such that these girls are dragged away, isolated, toxically abused, twisted, and in many cases tortured as they go through their horrifying ordeals. So those are the two big reasons why I think that has happened. Also, what has generated this nervousness and this hostility towards the truth and a prevention of investigation has been that it's been going on for so many decades. And the only people who were willing to speak about it in the beginning were those typically considered far right, often just normal people with normal concerns. Obviously, it's a tag that's used very, very casually. When patriotic and socially conservative and decent and upstanding left-wing people made comments or complaints about this scandal,
Thrown out the Labour Party.
They were just bullied and harassed and destroyed and cried the Labour.
At this point in time, I would like to say I was one of those decent people on the left. Remember, my politics are of the left. You know, I was a member of the Labour Party. I was thrown out of the Labour Party for refusing to remain silent on the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of working-class white children in my town. And likewise, well, I'll leave it to you about the bullying and the harassment.
In 2003 first made public concerns about the first, I can tell, left-wing figure to kind of stand up against this issue, and she was just ignored. In fact, the journalist who eventually exposed the scandal, Andrew Norfolk, wrote one story at the time in 2003 where he said that he felt that this was a sort of a far-right fantasy. He himself admitted that, but a sense of kind of liberal guilt kicked in over the years and he revisited the issue. And so we can credit Anna Cryer a lot with actually starting that investigation. Jack Straw, he also made complaints. He was pilloried, and very famously Sarah Champion, of course, writing in 2018 for The Sun about this scandal, was subject to the most obscene bullying and obviously removed from frontline politics of the Labour Party and hasn't really come back since.
So are you optimistic then that these political changes that you've been able to kind of push through will be upheld if and when Labour gets into power?
The more concerning thing about the political changes that have happened, first I'd say it's very brave of the Prime Minister and the government and Suella Braverman to take this on, because it has become such a difficult issue for others to do. I mean, it sounds almost ludicrous to say that it's brave to support
stand up against
rape gangs, but because there is such a huge vilification of anyone who does do it, I'm enormously grateful that they have done it, and we should all be, I think. It's no small thing to be faced with kind of an onslaught of abuse and just to say, this is worth doing. What concerns me the most about the security and long-standing support of those policies was how frit their colleagues were in defending them. Suella Braverman took the hardest line any politician has when she announced on the Sunday before the policies were put to the nation, describing in no uncertain terms that these gangs are predominantly British Pakistani, that there has been a kind of a cultural and ethnic cause to this abuse, that white girls were targeted for their race, and that there was a clannishness that supported and led towards that kind of abuse.
How did that clannishness manifest itself? So give us some examples of why that makes this problem so intractable.
Migration to Britain has happened in waves, in many ways, in the last 5 decades or so, but more intensely from kind of South Asia and since kind of the Windrush scandal as well. Sorry, the Windrush generation, of course. What we have struggled with in particular with assimilating migrants from northern Pakistan and the Mir-Puri region in particular is that chain migration happens within families, and then the cultural attitudes of people from that region are such that cousin marriage is very common, and this generates socio-biological kinship, whereby you create clans through consanguinity. If you marry your family, you don't assimilate with the rest of the community. It creates ghettoization, and this mixed in with a deeply patriarchal culture, which in many ways is extremely backward, gives girls and women very little power, and it gives men an enormous opportunity to act kind of without repercussion.
And so these extreme levels of in-group solidarity and sort of out-group hostility and out-group suspicion, it means that sort of cousins aren't willing to inform on one another to police, so the local police force, even if they are trying, obviously as you say, often they're very neglectful, but even if they are trying to solve this problem, it's very difficult to infiltrate into that those sort of cousinage networks.
Precisely, spot on. And at the same time, you have to remember that the in-group solidarity, as it were, of the local long-standing population is declining at the same time. In many of these towns, they are kind of post-industrial Victorian industrial towns, very atomized and blighted by sweeping changes in society, which have made them poorer, less united. Changes in cultural attitudes have seen a rise. I mean, a lot of disputes happening in the 90s and the early noughties was during a period of like a sudden change in the licentiousness of our culture. Going out and having a kind of a very liberal sex life was considered normal. So this change happening in tandem is very, very conservative and abusive culture mixing in with a bizarre, I mean, I grew up in the noughties, you saw it, I mean, you might have as well, right? You would have seen how this bizarre mixture of conservative judgment from tabloid press mixed in with the promotion of licentiousness through popular media would have been very, very confusing to lots of young women and young girls growing up at the time.
I think you mentioned earlier how one of the reasons why this was swept under the rug by left-wing authorities in particular is because it sort of flew in the face of their own sort of ideological pieties, their sort of delusions. But I think it does also, and if we're speaking about the left in that case, but I think it also, and I'll get to that in a second, but I think it also undermines the classical liberal illusion that it's possible for us simply to value freedom in politics and expect that you can have sort of relentless waves of sort of unwanted migration into these communities and expect that it's not going to lead to a sort of disintegration of social bonds. It's not going to create problems for social cohesion. And obviously that sort of economic liberalism has seized the upper echelons of the Conservative Party ever since Thatcher, really. So it flies.
Okay, news coming in. The Conservative councillor, Tory, well, he may not be councillor, Dave Arnott is confident the Conservatives have bucked the national trend by not losing and potentially gaining seats, picking up more in Royton North. He says Royton South is a fight between Labour and the Independents. So that's news coming in. They think they've held on to Royton North and maybe took the third seat in Royton North. We will find out. Remember, we campaigned against Clint Piffian overtly, directly in his face, because he stood up in the council chamber and claimed a public inquiry into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children would be a waste of money. That was Clint Piffian, the Royton North councillor. Well, maybe he will rue the day he said that. It seems Dave Arnott is confident so far, and it's a tight fight in Royton South between the newly formed Royton Independents, Maggie Hurley, Jade Hughes and Darren Radcliffe, against the Labour Party establishment of Barrelgate Bashforth and his wife and Amanda Chadderton. As more comes in, I will, of course, bring it to you.
Social bonds. It's not going to create problems for social cohesion. And obviously that sort of economic liberalism has seized the upper echelons of the Conservative Party ever since Thatcher, really. So it flies in the face of that sort of liberal piety, but it also flies in in the face of the much more sort of much more ideological left-wing piety that not only is diversity not a problem, it's an active strength, and that we wouldn't even need to have scandals like this to underline how wrong that is. I mean, any place in the world where you look, where there are sort of extreme levels of diversity, I think the three most, and there are all sorts of different fault lines along which diversity can be measured. You get tribal diversity, you get ethnic diversity, you get racial diversity, you get religious diversity. All of the places where diversity is at its highest proportion. I think the three most diverse populations of the world, with populations of over 1 million, are Liberia, the Congo, and Papua New Guinea. Not exactly success stories. And the three most homogenous societies in the world are Japan, Denmark, and South Korea. So the gamble of the diversities is our strength crowd is that the more we become compositionally like Liberia, like the Congo, like Papua New Guinea, the more we can retain our sort of the more we can retain the first world standards of countries like South Korea, Japan, and Denmark, and it's sheer delusion. And so it's no wonder that when you get a sort of a story like this, which just completely blows that illusion to shreds, they don't want anything to do with it.
Sure. I mean, you can take, I think Singapore is the only example of a kind of modern first world multi-ethnic society that's kind of come up, in Lee Kuan Yew's book, From Third World to First. It's multiculturalism is built into the Singaporean constitution, but that was done with laws that would probably not fly here in Westminster.
I was just about to, sorry, continue.
No, and I would just say, I'm even kind of a good example of this, because assimilation will only get you so far. I mean, I'm from a Commonwealth country. I'm Canadian. I speak English. I've moved here. I love it here, but I'm not British. Clearly,
you have the same nursery rhymes as us.
Yeah, exactly.
The same monarch as us.
I'm about as close as you can get.
Yeah.
But I'm still not British. And so the idea that as assimilated as I might become, it'll never be 100%. And the idea that somebody can come here, from a country like Liberia. They might be well accepted, they might be, they can learn to speak English, and they might be economically productive, but they'll never become English. Maybe their children's children could kind of get there, but this idea that everybody will just come here and sort of immediately meld into a melting pot, if it's not going to work for Canadians and Australians, where will it?
Did you know that there's an endless supply of free electricity constantly flowing in the ground beneath you? Did you know?
I think the dominant culture will always sustain, but I think that all good countries need a degree of migration to stay dynamic and also to generally enhance their culture. It's not necessarily the case that just that migration dilutes and denigrates it. It can enhance too. The problem, especially in many of these towns covered in the film and in the wider investigation, is that it was too much, too soon, too fast,
and unwanted, and not voted for.
And nobody asked for it.
Yeah.
And nobody asked for it.
For the exact opposite.
It is a usurpation of the government's powers to, because a lot of these people sort of once people become here as immigrants, in 5 years' time they will become voters. They'll be on the voter rolls. It is sheer arrogance on the part of our elites to import effectively a new electorate without the consent of the existing one. And that's something which has been happening consistently for decades now. And obviously it manifests itself most aggressively and most violently in the sort of problems that you're talking about. Sorry, do you want to say something?
I just think on the politics of dealing with this issue, there was one man in particular during the investigation that we covered that sort of encapsulated the crisis as a whole, for me at least. His name's Maruf Hussain. Now, he was the Community Cohesion Minister for Rotherham Council until 2015, when he was forced to resign after Baroness Casey wrote a report, an inspection of Rotherham Council, which found that it was in denial, and she held the leadership accountable for all that. She said the majority of councillors did not accept the J report published a year earlier, which found that 1,400 girls had been abused from 1997 to 2013.
How many, sorry?
1,400. That number has since been revised up to 1,510 by the National Crime Agency.
This is in Rotherham.
That's in Rotherham alone. Now, Rotherham has a relatively small population of British Pakistanis, less than 5% of the town, and it's a town of about 140,000. But they constituted the vast majority of grooming gang suspects. They were also aided by some white women as well, who acted as facilitators. Some of them actually converts to Islam. One woman in particular, Shafina Ali, who sadly died in 2009, so escaped the justice that she very much deserved, facilitated a fake taxi hotline for taking girls to school, and worked with some abusers, and I've met survivors of her crimes. Now, Maruf Hussain, After resigning in 2015 in disgrace, we found through the GB News investigation that he had since managed to sneak back into the public sector after rebranding himself as an anti-Islamophobia activist. So the Casey report found that it alleged that Maruf Hussain had delivered a false accusation of racism against a fellow Labour Party member when that Labour Party member said there is a particular problem with Pakistani taxi drivers in this town abusing white girls, which was obviously true, and as we know has been very much proven. Mr. Hussain's reaction to that comment, it is said in the case report, was that this is racist and to complain about it. So he was very much, in his role, prioritising community cohesion over the safety and the support that young girls in the town needed. He then, after his resignation, went through a period of rebranding as an anti-Islamophobia activist, as a sort of community cohesion activist. And we found at the beginning of the year that he was now working as a manager in the NHS Health Education England body as a national diversity, inclusion and participation.
These people get paid quite a bit.
I think he was on £49,000 when I asked them politely for his salary, and they begrudgingly told me. So he had used the kind of the language, the language of the trappings and the politics of diversity, firstly to help the cover up of abuse, and then to advance his own career in the wake of the disaster he left behind. As far as I'm concerned, people who were involved in that should not face freedom again. Let alone rebrand themselves as public servants. It's
I think it's a disgrace that diversity hasn't been more of a casualty of this scandal, and instead, it still sounds like it's still a lucrative selling point for many people.
In many ways, the diversity industry has benefited from the national grooming gang scandal.
Why do you say that?
Because it has shown to us, in no uncertain terms, the enormous power of lying to people about the truth about these crimes. And it has shown to grifters and activists and lawyers and media professionals and politicians that if they repeat a lie enough about this scandal, not only can they get away with it, but they can be promoted for it. It has shown, in many ways, very disturbingly, the invincibility that the diversity industry and the diversity culture enjoys within our politics. The reaction to the film was very positive from people who had not heard about the issue before, or many who had and were keen to see some more support. But a lot of people ignored it because it's not in keeping with the national myth making we've had around this crisis. In 2020, the Home Office were forced to release a report which said that the majority of grooming gang abusers are white. That's actually not what the report said. It found that so many constabularies didn't have data, and
hence the law change.
And so it was impossible to know the truth. And it said that 30% of white men were abusers, and 28% were Asian. That's unlikely to represent the truth because of the lack of data. But even then, that shows a huge overrepresentation of Asians and an underrepresentation of white men. But still, the blob and the diversity industry managed to spin that report as saying, grooming gangs are a white problem, even though we had 19 trials in West Yorkshire of only Pakistani men, even though we had Rotherham, Rochdale, Telford, even though we had up to 50 different towns and cities where these gangs had gone on, and where in general Asian, but in particular Pakistani names were most common.
I've got Mark Ince on the line. Mark, you're live on my thing, I'm afraid, mate, so no pressure. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay.
I know you've had a busy day.
No, well, he was convicted in court. He wasn't there, apparently, but he's there at the count. So I find that interesting. You don't turn up for your trial, but you turn up for, only in Oldham. Only in Oldham, Mark, yeah.
Only in Oldham. Well, a rain-soaked Oldham, it must be said. But just to give you where we are, so it's a weird one because obviously it's the all-outs, it's a new kind of counting system, and the Liberal Democrats are very good at standing there with clipboards, which is a pointless exercise. But they, if you like doing that sort of thing, I suggest make a bingo on a Friday night. But I've you on the look on people's faces, and as it stands now, they don't look confident, the Lib Dems.
Okay.
So we know we're going to make progress, Roger. It's just a question of how much progress. we know we've done really well on the parish council.
Excellent.
That's a far more easier thing to read. But it's just this. It's difficult to call, but we feel confident.
And you're in it. You're in the fight, aren't you? You're in the fight.
Yeah. We're not going to go away.
Yeah.
You know, either way, we've had a discussion about it, and this will give us a momentum to carry on. If we get 1 seat, 2 seat, 3 seat, no seat, no, we will carry on because the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
And they can't make it go away.
Well, keep us updated, Mark. Do you know how far away you are from maybe a result or any other results?
I don't know because they're doing this weird thing with the tractors and they call it a kangaroo. But it reminds me of when my dad used to do the pools.
Yeah.
In the late 70s, and he'd sit there and so it's to be honest, it's been transparent.
Good.
We see what we're getting. It's just a bit confusing because some people are voting for us and the Lib Dems, some people are voting for us and Labour, some people are just voting for us. It's one of them. Until we get it all drawn out, nobody knows. But we have been. The weakest for us was the postal votes because obviously all our voters are alive.
Yeah. Yes.
But we held our nerve with that, and we didn't come too badly out of that. And then there was a certain polling station which we knew would be difficult, which we targeted heavily, and again we were pleased just on the amount of crosses without them being counted that we saw. So it's confident. But irrespective of, we'll take a lot of positives out of it. It's just how much we're going to be able to do going forward. But I'll let you know the minute it comes in.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you very, very much.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.
So that was Mark Hince phoning in with an update. He seems, I think, quietly confident. They'll definitely take seats on the parish council, I think, and is in it with a chance in Shaw. Of course, Shaw is Howard Sykes' stronghold. It's a Lib Dem stronghold of Shaw, where Howard Sykes reigns and has reigned for decades. So let's see it happens with Mark Hince and his team.
More recently, studies have been done analysing prosecution data, which has found that Pakistanis dominate this conversation, dominate this data. So even if the police aren't recording the ethnicity of the abusers, the courts are recording their names and using some academic analysis there, we can show that the blob is lying. But the blob doesn't care. The blob hears it and goes, no, that's racist. Saeed Avasi will say, you're racist. The Guardian will say, you're racist. Elements of the government will tell you you're racist. And Suella Braverman, I think, was quite surprised by the reaction she got. I think she underestimated the extent to which people cannot let this truth be known.
Now, forgive my ignorance here, but obviously Europe saw like a mass migration wave in 2015, right? Mm-hmm. And there were problems that came from that. Like in Germany, they had
Dortmund and Cologne.
Yes, exactly. But there seems to me to be like a systematic element in the UK that isn't present in other countries that have had the same problem. It's like in your documentary, you talk about a list of girls' names that was pinned to a door, and it's rife through the police. It's people taking advantage of black cabs and using a fake call-in service. Why do you think there's this element of, I don't know, like collaboration and like, for lack of a better word, like high intelligence in planning it that's happening in the UK that doesn't seem to be happening in other countries. Other countries, there's problems, but there's
spontaneous.
It's just attacks.
Cologne,
I'd say that Syria is not the same as the Mirpuri region of Pakistan or the Kashmir region of Pakistan. They're different people, different cultures, different worlds, and so it's not the same source, as it were, of the issue that we have predominantly in England and Wales, and also in Glasgow. Actually, there was one grooming gang scandal in Glasgow. So you're dealing with different people, but also I think England has a particular nervousness about discussions of immigration and discussions of, and people are particularly nervous about being seen as racist, right? The fear of being seen as racist was repeated regularly in all of the reports. The Telford report last year mentioned that racial nervousness led to civil servants in the local government like shutting down discussions of it, even with like well-meaning people, normal people, so wrapped up in this culture of political correctness that they would actively commit to to policy decisions that harmed girls and protected abusers. So I think our culture is very upsetting, particularly warped in this way, whereas kind of friendly and similar countries that aren't as bad on that front and also haven't had the same kind of migration.
I think that's the second bit is very important. I don't.
Okay, let's bring you up to speed a bit more. I'll just pause that. I'm also hearing this. Brian Hoban has been talking and he seems to be confident that his party have held up to all 3 seats in Failsworth East. Remember, there's a recount of the bundles on the way in Failsworth East, with the last seat being just by a 19 lead. So we'll see how that takes place. He's not optimistic, and thank you, Mohammed Javid, for joining us and sending this in. I always say thank you to my Asian brethren when they join and they bravely share information, because it is few and far between of that community that do that. But Mohammed Javid kindly must be at the count, I think. But there you go. All 3 in Failsworth West isn't optimistic. Well, the Failsworth Independent Party, of course, put up 1 candidate in Failsworth West when they had an agreement not to put on any candidate. So they effectively have already split the vote in Failsworth West, and we'll see what the damage will be. We'll see what the damage will be in Failsworth West very soon, I think. Those of you who are joining me, I'm just playing. I am tired, excuse me for the yawn. I am tired. I have been, I don't know what the hours have been, but I have been working relentlessly now for the last 3 months or so, all the way up to this point, to see how well we can do and what we can get over the line. So if you're joining me new and you find value in my work, and there's 250 of you who have joined me so far today, please do consider buying me a coffee. It's linked at the top of my feed, at the top of the YouTube feed. If you just go up to where you're commenting, the top feed, there's a link to either a PayPal account or a buy me a coffee account. It's £2 to buy me a coffee. That is my income, and that's how I manage to do the work that I do. As to whether it's been of any value, well, we will find out in the next hour or so. Okay.
Just want to keep bashing diversity, but I mean it gets a lot of celebration, so there's a corrective element, I suppose, to it. But I think diversity also, I mean, at extremely high levels, like mass immigration, it has a sort of paralysing effect on freedom of speech, particularly for politicians who now have to court the votes of these new arrivals, particularly if they live in constituencies where they predominate. So, for example, in the 1870s, there were examples of Gladstone making speeches against the Turkish Empire, which would have him thrown out of every single mainstream political party today. The only party that would accept him today would be either sort of Reclaim or Reform, maybe the SDP, even though he would have disagreed with them on free trade. I mean, some of the stuff fulminating against sort of Turkish atrocities in Bulgaria, being very disparaging about the Muslim faith and the way in which that motivates those sorts of atrocities. But if he'd had a large sort of Turkish diaspora in his Greenwich constituency, would Gladstone have been anywhere near as fearsome in going against that? And as such today, I mean, the same problem persists. If you've got these sort of diasporas living in communities, you're going to have to tread incredibly carefully. So diversity has a sort of a paralysing effect on free speech and our ability to get to the heart of issues as well.
I think you're right, but I mean, unfortunately, we don't have to look as far back as the 1870s to prove it today. I mean,
just a very good example.
Yeah, well, it is. We have to only look back 3 weeks ago when Tracy Brabham was the mayor for West Yorkshire, was on the Sunday Politics show on the BBC. I forget what it's called now. Laura Kuenssberg was hosting, and the night before, Suella Brabham had written her op-ed, published at 10:30 p.m. saying that the government will act to clamp down on grooming gangs. So announcing the first communications line on the new policy. Tracy Brabham, I think, was unprepared for this, but her reaction to how to describe her response to Brabham's comments was very telling. Her first reaction was to describe it as dog whistle politics. So not to actually grapple with the validity of the claim, but to say on national television, this is a dog whistle, the truth is a dog whistle. But we also have to remember that Brabham's comments come within 2 years of the scandal in Batley, where a teacher is still in hiding after the issue of displaying a cartoon of Muhammad or a photo of Muhammad.
For pedagogical purposes.
Indeed,
Yeah.
for the purpose of teaching,
Yeah.
right? That was, this man is still in hiding, I believe, and probably under lock and key with MI5 right now, God bless him. And mere weeks before this announcement in March, you'll remember that there was an incident in Wakefield where an autistic boy dropped a Quran at school.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And he was forced to apologise. His mother was dragged in front of a
terrified,
a Sharia come Maoist struggle session.
Well, there we go. We
Yeah.
saw that there was, in many cases, the political and social calamities that contributed to the grooming gang scandal were there before us. A police officer, an inspector in West Yorkshire Police, sat there in front of this crowd saying, I urge calm from the local community, the local Muslim community, with regards to this poor autistic boy and his mother, who was begging for forgiveness from these people, embarrassing, awful people. I would say that West Yorkshire Police, a police force that had Maruf Hussain, the aforementioned Islamophobia activist, very helpfully gave him a talk in 2019, and we uncovered at GB News. So a man who covered up grooming gangs was now speaking to the police about diversity. So Tracy Brabham, in her own patch, has got to balance these competing and totally alien forces, and so she cannot. She's politically restricted from being honest, I think, about this problem. She'll allow a teacher to go into hiding. She'll allow an autistic boy to be bullied by a fanatic religious mob, and she will fail to stand up for girls being abused by the most obscene, torturous rape gangs. The question has to be asked, actually, what will she not cover up?
Yeah. Yes. Well, okay, so if we can't count on the politicians, what advice would you give for people kind of back at home who are trying to deal with this in their personal lives, who might be worried about their daughters or their nieces or just girls in their community?
Well, there are enormous resources available from many very good organisations with regards to how to respond to child sexual exploitation. I always refer people to the NSPCC, and I've been slightly nervous about doing that in the last month because they actually said that Braverman's comments risk singling out a group. But of course, the whole problem we've had is that people have not been singling out this group.
God forbid that we get to the heart of the problem.
Yes, indeed. So that was really quite distressing. But their overall guidance on how to respond to CSE is very important. I'd also recommend people reach out to the Maggie Oliver Foundation. Maggie Oliver, the Rochdale whistleblower who exposed the scandal there. We still don't know the extent of it. A report is currently being written by the local authority. Her foundation is remarkable, supports thousands of survivors every year, and supports active live cases where girls still feel as though they are being fobbed off by the police. And I've seen some of those case notes, and they are severe. They are doing very good work. And I think if people watch the film, as I'm sure many of your viewers already have, because your viewers are excellent people, but they will notice many other commentators and activists and whistleblowers there who need support.
And a lot of the conversation about this has to do with, kind of the Westminster class and the political response and repercussions to this. But what has been the response that you've gotten from these members of the working class, or even kind of below that, the underclass that you've been talking with? I mean, you must be kind of their hero now. You're the first person to kind of bring this up in like a decade.
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think any like sense of courage or like personal pride, I feel like this work is minute in comparison to what you hear when you meet survivors and when you speak to victims of this abuse who are putting their lives at risk to step forward and discuss it. So I feel I'm a very grateful vessel for their ideas and for their stories.
Sure.
And people are more grateful for them than they are, I think, for any outlet that supports them, because they are the people who have changed the national conversation. Journalists can only help sell their stories to the public, but this might sound weird to say, but editing the voice of a survivor, editing their speech and their testimony, to me is much easier than editing speaking to a commentator or a politician, because there is no waffle, there is no flapping around, there is just their experiences and the raw humanity of it. They are the people who compel people interaction.
I understand that you actually interviewed Suella Braverman recently. Were you impressed?
There was one line in particular that stood out, which was stark. She said the answer to my second question. She said, "The truth is not racist," I've never heard a minister or a politician, let alone the Home Secretary, stand up for the government's own policy investigating these kind of gangs before. So I was impressed by that, but the proof is really in the pudding. If this task force is given the sufficient support it needs, then I will be impressed. If the more data on ethnicity is recorded, then I will be impressed. If abusers are deported, I'll be very impressed.
Yes, I was about to ask that. Yes.
But also, if they go to prison. There was a case this morning I read about, not with to deal with the grooming gang scandal, but a man arrested for a violent offence, not sent to prison because the prisons are full. This is a problem we've had for many years. Our prison estate is absolutely heaving, and I think that we run a risk now of extremists and abusers escaping punishment due to that issue. So there's a lot to do.
Now, okay, so you hit the note there 4 times. If these things don't happen, what do you expect that the response will be, both from the communities that it's happening in and from sort of the political elements in Westminster that are trying to push through these changes?
Well, I think they are cautiously optimistic is the language I heard, essentially, when I met with many of the survivors and campaigners I've worked with for the last 18 months. Cautiously optimistic. So I don't know what their reaction would be, and I wouldn't want to preempt that, but we will be there to hold the government to account and to give those voices a voice when and if the government lets them down.
Well, thank you very much, Charlie Peters, for coming in and telling us about this, and we look forward to any future work you might have in the pipeline. Evan, thanks as ever. You've been watching Deprogrammed. We'll see you on the next one.
Hello. If you're enjoying the New Culture Forum channel and you believe in our mission,
I just wanted to play that. It's been on my mind to play it on a Sunday night, but we've just been too busy, so I thought I'd play that whilst we're waiting for news to come in. Thank you, Mr. 786, or Mrs. 786, even though in this new transgender world you could be, I don't know what the transgender term is for Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Is there one? I don't know what it is. Tis? Could it be tis? Mr., Mrs., Miss, Ms, transgender, tis, maybe. Oldham Council lead Arud Shah, former Oldham Council lead Arud Shah, soon to be new Oldham Council lead Arud Shah, I think, if it goes her way, who is running in the St Mary's ward, says she's confident she'll regain a spot in the council chambers. However, she is concerned for some of her Labour colleagues. Of course, Arud Shah was imposed on St Mary's by the Labour Party. They like doing that. They like imposing. Forget democracy. They just impose their candidates they want in the wards they want, particularly in the Asian wards. The coldest ward has been suspended for a very long time, which is probably why 17 independent candidates have stood. Many of them are former Labour Party members. They wanted to stand as Labour Party councillors, haven't been able to. Stand as Labour Party candidates haven't been able to, and ended up as independents, and what they've done is took away from the independent vote and more than likely helped to deliver Labour Party candidates as the free councillors there. If you find value, there's 35 likes, there's 284 views. So at the very least, press like on the YouTube link, please. If you're yet to subscribing to the YouTube channel is free. All of my content for the last 8 months or so has been free to air, and well, indeed. So if you find value, at the very least, press like, subscribe to the channel, and if you're able to, consider buying me a coffee. So let's see where we are currently up to. Any new news? Let me have a look. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. This is proving to be interesting. It's nearly 4 o'clock. The results, first of all, were expected around 4 o'clock, and then they said it would be earlier, but it's not been earlier as it's give or take coming up to 4 o'clock, and no results as of yet. So I'm not sure what's going on, but you chat amongst yourselves. I'll message and phone some people and see if I can find anything out. Maybe go and get yourself a cup of tea. And if you hear anything, by all means, put it up in the chat and I will transfer it across. I'm hearing Hollingwood is in trouble for the Labour Party. So Hollingwood, where the Conservatives are looking to expand, is also looking to be close. Hollingwood is also close. So as well as Dave Arnott confirming his confidence in Royton North, Hollingwood is looking like the Tories might actually make some gains there. So those of you who are with me, I woke up to news this morning of how Sean Fielding had made his comeback in Bolton, in one of the wards in Bolton. I think it's interesting for me to share this with you so you can see it. Sean Fielding came top with 1,382, so he's now a councillor in Bolton. The Conservative came second with 1,293 and Labour came third with 1,260. And the two further Conservatives missed out with 1,232, so just by 28 votes. And also by, 80 votes, 100 votes? Yeah. But have a look at the three independents who's ruining it. Our UK is Reform UK, I think, Bolton. So it's the Bolton division. These no-hopers, and they did it here. They did it in Oldham, East and Saddleworth in particular at the national election when UKIP came along. Or was it Brexit? Was it the Brexit party came along? And if those people had, and they are conservative leaning, had fought with their head and voted tactically at the very least and supported the Conservative candidates, those 300 votes, there's at least 300 votes there in the independents there. Those 300 votes would have comfortably taken all three Conservatives over the line and Labour would have been left with nothing. And that's what happens when you don't tactically vote. So we'll see what is happening in Hollingwood and whether people have tactically voted or whether we will see the Sean Fielding scenario play out in Oldham, in Hollingwood. And if that's the case, well, you reap what you sow. You can have barefaced lies if you want.
So everything you do goes wrong, yeah. Incompetence just leads to disaster. Corruption brings it on even faster. What you say? That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? 'Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? 'Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit hold, overthrown, postal throwing, barefaced lies. Is this where you wanna be? Debt and childhood poverty. Oh, somebody set us free from this corrupt kleptocracy. Oh yeah. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? 'Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and hold, overthrown, postal throwing, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? 'Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and hold, overthrown, postal throwing, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? 'Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and hold, overthrown, postal throwing, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? 'Cause when the truth becomes so
Of course, to this day, Sean Fielding denies there was a cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of working-class white girls, and his denials have been, well, whitewashed, I think. Whitewashed. His publicity in Bolton didn't even make reference to Oldham or his role in Oldham. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens there. It's looking like, wow, if this is true, then I think it's very clear what's going on in Oldham is that it will be bucking the national trend. It's looking like the latest from the count, and remember we've got people at the counter appearing over, so nothing is confirmed, but it looks like Lewis Quigg and Dave Arnott have not only held on to Royton North, they have taken all 3 seats in Royton North. It's yet to be confirmed, but it's also looking like the Conservatives have ousted Hannah Roberts, Kyle Piffian and the fire engine chaser, whatever his name is, Summit Williams, in Hollingwood. If that's the case, Hollingwood has been a Labour Party stronghold for, well, since before we came along, like everywhere else. And in Failsworth West, it's looking like it could be 2 Labour and 1 Failsworth Independents. So that is a shame, really, but we'll find out yet. It looks like Pete Davis, that's BNP Pete, to many of you, is heading back to Oldham Council, which I think is a sad day for the people of Failsworth. So Sandra is looking like she's going to get over the line as the 1 independent, and the last one is between Alan Brady and Paul Fryer. So Mark Wilkinson is nowhere to be seen there. I would imagine that was the consequence of tactical voting by Jane Casanelli, and her team would have voted in a certain way, and Mark would have suffered from there. So let's see how that plays out. That's a sad day really for Failsworth. If that happens, that's a sad day for Failsworth. Mark Wilkinson has been nothing but an exemplary councillor in Failsworth West. But news is still coming in, and when I hear more, I will let you know. And if you hear anything yourselves, do let me know. And in the meantime, please do consider pressing like, pressing subscribe, consider buying me a coffee. I think 1 person's bought me a coffee today, and I'm very grateful to that 1 person. So thank you very, very much. There's just under 350 of you viewing so far, and let's see. We're not far off. I can't be far off the results now. We can't be far off the results now. Provisional results are now being told to candidates in a number of wards. We are really coming down to the wire, expecting a flurry of results to be announced at once. So candidates are now being told the results. Okay, preliminary results are being told to candidates. I didn't know such a thing happened, but it is Dirty Harry Cafferel, so who knows. Well, that's a shame. St. James, Amoy looks like she's finished 4th. Amoy looks like she's finished 4th. Beth Sharp's got in and 2 Labour have got in. So Beth Sharp, the Conservative, looks like she's held her seat. And our support of Amoy, it is looking like she's come up short. So that's a real shame. I had lunch with Amoy earlier. But we'll see how well she's done. And she lives there. She lives there and she'll continue to fight there. But let's see what the formal result is. That's a shame. Sorry, I'm waiting. I'm just refreshing my feed and checking my messages and see what happens. Remember, Labour started the day on 35 seats. So they started the day on 35 seats. So whatever happens, it will be interesting to measure against that number, first and foremost. And secondly, also then to compare against the national trend where they've been, completely obliterating the opposition, basically because of how much of a mess the Conservatives have been in. But we will see. We will see. How you doing, Ian? Are you well? You joined us just as the results are coming in, mate. So we're just waiting for the results to come in. Saddleworth South, it looks like Gary Tarbuck's come up short, but interestingly, it's 2 Tories and 1 Liberal, so it looks like the Tories have lost a seat in Saddleworth South. It's a shame for Gary as well. Maybe it was too little too late in terms of our campaign, I don't know. Same with Amoy. We worked very hard with Amoy. We worked very hard with Gary. So thank you to all of you who campaigned. We'll get the figures soon. We'll get the actual voting numbers soon. But this is what's coming through as we speak. I'm well, thank you, Ian. I had a result in court today, which is why I've still got my tie on. Irish Imi was convicted. He has been convicted for breaching his restraining order and is currently at the count. So maybe that's a first. Convicted in the morning, at the count in the afternoon. And celebrating with the new leader of Oldham Council in the evening, possibly. Or maybe I'm just, Oh, wow. Failsworth West. Labour have taken 2 seats. Fryer and Davis are now councillors, and it's only Sandra Ball from the Independents has got over the line in Failsworth West. So Failsworth West now has 2 Labour councillors. Well done to those of you who are involved in whatever it is that you're involved in that led to the destruction of essentially the Failsworth Independent Party. So well done to all of you who are involved in that. The consequence is we now have 2 Labour Party councillors in Failsworth. It'll be interesting to see the votes on that as well. So Sandra Baldwin came first. Pete Davis came second, and Paul Fryer came third. I'm not sure if there's going to be a recount or anything or not to do with Fryer. No recount, no, so that's the result. So Sandra's a councillor for 4 years, thankfully. Pete Davis, BNP Pete, is on for 3 years. And 1 year is Paul Fryer. So if the Failsworth Independents, the West, or if they get the act together, they can maybe take that back next year with a coordinated campaign. Which is what I would be starting tomorrow if I was in Failsworth West. But I think if Sandra's finished first with 4 years, I think that's a really good result. Shame, real shame. I don't know, mate. I don't know what... They wouldn't tell me what the sentence or anything was. It was a real interesting interactions with the CPS. Remember, the CPS have been trying to put me in prison for the last 3 years, 2 years now. So it was an interesting interaction. It is disappointing, Amanda, because it's of our own making, and I say ours because I consider myself one of the independents as well. It's of our own making. The mess in Failsworth is of our own making. Oh my God. It looks like both, I'm reading this and I'm trying to make sense of it. It looks like both Bashforths have survived in Royton South, but it looks like Amanda Chadderton is out. I'm not sure about that yet. I'm waiting for confirmation. Just give me a second. I'm waiting for confirmation. Maggie's finished first. The Barrelgate survived, and his wife, by the looks of it. And Amanda Chadderton has been ousted as council leader. News coming in, Amanda Chadderton has been ousted as council leader. I'm trying to confirm that for you. Yes, Amanda Chadderton has been defeated. We have taken out Amanda Chadderton. We have taken out the third council leader in a row because of nothing other than the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. They voted for the Bashforths. The people of Royton South voted for the Bashforths ahead of Amanda Chadderton. It looks like we have taken out Amanda Chadderton. It looks like we have taken out the third Oldham council leader in 3 years. All because of the Labour Party's refusal to investigate the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. Remember, the Royton Independents are a newly formed community group. Wow. Wow. Maggie Hurley has finished first in Royton South. That I cannot believe. Amoy's on the line. Let's speak to Amoy. Hi, Amoy.
You okay, Roger?
Yeah, you're on live, Amoy. You didn't get over the line, did you? I'm afraid.
No. I've left now, but I don't know how everyone else is doing. But no, Beth got in first, didn't she? And then Angela Cosgrove and Josh.
Oh, and you came fourth?
Yes.
We try again, Amoy. We keep trying, don't you? It's a community you live in, yeah?
Absolutely. We'll work it this time. Well, we've worked it, but yeah, you have to build on that now. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive up from last year. So.
How many votes did you get, Amoy?
500 and what was it? 520 something, I think.
That's nearly double last time, isn't it? It's up, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you're going to have to build on it. And what was third? Was it 700? Hey.
Yeah, 700 and something.
Yeah, we said 750, didn't we? We said if we could get 750, we'd be over the line. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, 700 and like 720. It worked a lot. But yeah, they've that's the third play.
Well, we try again. We'll try again, won't we? We'll try again. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no election next year because that's a general election.
No, there's an election next year. There's an election next year.
I said that, but what's it called? That Paul?
No, there's an election next year. There's an election next year. Yeah. Okay.
So all them thoughts, all the ones who got in, they don't have to stand again, do they?
The one who's third stands again.
Right. So it's Josh.
Yeah. So Josh Charters. Yeah. All right.
Let's see where he goes. All right. No.
Thank you, Amoy. I'm really, really sorry. We tried, Amoy. We put the miles in and we tried. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. I'll
Take care.
in a bit.
Bye.
Take care.
I don't think people really realise how brave these people are who step forward and stand the way they do. Like people like Amoy, full-time jobs, raising a family, and stand. 500 votes, 550 votes, 200 short, and a really low turnout. But we'll try again. We'll try again. We'll try again with Amoy. I think people just don't, enough of them don't come out and vote. I mean, Josh Charters, you know, he's not even from there, is he? He was one of the stooges. He was right at the beginning on the CSE cover-up. Stood in saddle with Western Lees, I think. John Hughes is on. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. He's been leading the campaign. John, you're on speaker, mate. So that's where you are.
Right.
How do we do, mate?
Okay, so bit of negative, but tremendous good. So first with Maggie Hurley.
So Maggie Hurley, let me get this right. Maggie Hurley finished first.
Yes.
Wow. So our candidate finished first in Royton South.
Yes.
Or one of our candidates. Yeah.
The Bash Force finished second and third.
So who? Steve first or Marie third or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Amanda Chatterton's out.
So Amanda Chatterton is out.
Out.
John, we have, I know we put 3 up, mate. Yeah, because we needed to put 3 up to get this result. But we have just taken out the 3rd leader of Oldham Council. Yes?
Correct. But this is why I'm absolutely raging pissed off. You know the 4th independent?
Go on.
Anthony Prince.
Yeah.
He got 450 votes. He only normally gets 150.
And he split the vote.
Jade,
Yeah.
Jade got 850.
Yeah.
And Darren got 770. So they potentially both would have got in as well.
They both would have got in. We tried to speak to Anthony Prince, didn't we? Yeah.
Correct.
And you would have none of it. Well, you know what, John? I'm rolling my sleeves up right now whilst you're on the phone, mate. We're going again next year, aren't we? We're going again next year. Yeah.
You know, I know we've got Maggie in.
Yeah.
And I heard Amanda Chatterton's out. That does me. That's for the kids.
Yeah.
That's for the kids.
Mate, I'm proud of you. I'm proud. You know, you and I met as a result of this, didn't we? We'd never known each other. We met on the streets of South Chadderton last year when I was knocking on doors and delivering leaflets, yeah? Right? This was a year ago we met, and a year later we have defeated Amanda Chatterton, and I will take that. I will take that. We've got Maggie Hurley over the line. We've defeated Amanda Chatterton, and next year we will get Jade or Darren, whoever it is that stands in.
Absolutely.
John, I will see you later at some point. Wherever we're meeting for a drink, mate, I'll be there. I look forward to it, mate. Thank you.
I bet you made up, are you?
Mate, we just took out the 3rd council leader in succession. Labour Party. Labour Party. My former friends in the Labour Party. Are you watching? Can you see what we have done? This is the people of a northern mill town. We are sending you a lesson. We are sending you a message. The message is really simple. We want a no-holds-barred public inquiry into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. Otherwise, we'll keep picking off your leaders. How about that, John? Is that good enough? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mate, I'll see you soon. I'll speak to you soon, mate. Okay? Thanks.
Cheers, mate. See you later. Bye-bye.
We would have took all 3 seats in Royton South had it not been for Anthony Prince and the confusion over the voters voting for him. No bother. We have taken out Amanda Chatterton. We have taken out the leader of Oldham Council. And yes, I am rolling my sleeves up because we are getting ready to go again to whoever is the next leader. Come on, Arud Shah, from your Glodic stronghold. Come on, bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on against all of us. Watch what we do to the next one and the one after that. Watch what we do to the next one and the one after that. We have just taken out Amanda Chatterton in the Royton South stronghold. The 3rd council leader in a row has been taken out by a community-led campaign who are holding to account these criminals who have been complicit in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. Come on. Cameron Gaffer has taken a seat for the Conservatives in Hollingwood. Cameron Gaffer has taken a seat for the Conservatives in Hollingwood. Against the national trend, the Conservatives have took a seat in Hollywood. For those of you who are joining me, it's been an up and down day, and it continues to be an up and down day. But the headline news has got to be this. The Recusant 9 led campaign to hold to account the politicians responsible for the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of the children of our town has taken out the third successive Oldham council leader. We took out Sean Fielding, we took out Arood Shah, and now we have taken out Amanda Chadderton. To the Labour Party and all of those in the council and the police, our message to you is simple. You can lock me up, you can call the people who support me racist, you can do what you want, but we are not going away, and we want a public inquiry into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. And that cover-up includes exposing the role of the MP, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon, and holding him to account. Come on. We're getting the stories here, and the BBC are yet to report on them. The MEN are yet to report on them. The reason, I think, is very clear. Why? Because they don't know what to make of it. But we, the people of this town, the anti-cartel, anti-grooming gang alliance, cross-community alliance, have taken out the third successive leader. Where are you, Willa Boobies? Where are you, Charlotte Green? Where are you, Harry Caffrell? We've took out another one of your boys, or girls in this instance. We've took out another one of them. And you know why? Because of your complicity in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. We will win more seats in Royton next year. We will win again in St. James's when we will retake what we need to retake in Failsworth. Watch. This movement is only growing. This movement is only growing. The Liberals were always going to take Saddleworth, West and Lees. I told you the Oldham Borough independents were bad news. My understanding is some of the candidates, and you went and voted for them, didn't even turn up for the count. Didn't even turn up for the count. We would have won all three in Royton South. We'd have won all three in Royton South. I think we ran out of time in the end and we couldn't get the Royton Independents registered properly, because if people had seen the Royton Independent sign, I think it would have been easier. But we've got a full year to lead up to that. We've got a councillor in the council chamber, and we will build. We will build on Royton. We'll build on Royton. You ready? I've got some figures for you. Saddleworth, West and Lees, where the Lib Dems have took all 3 seats. Yeah. Sam Almdani got 1,600. Mark Kenyon got 1,483. And Alicia Marland got 1,563. Paul Shilton got 660. So he's fallen off by 50%. I think that's the end of the Oldham Borough Independence. The highest Conservative there was 175, and the highest Labour Party opposition there was 446. So Saddleworth, Western Lees is now clearly a Lib Dem stronghold. It was a three-way marginal at one point. In the course of 3 years, Sam Al-Hamdani and his team have made it into a Lib Dem stronghold. It's all kicking off in the Colders count, which it would do because of the village politics. So I'm just getting some text messages and I'm just laughing because I don't really get involved in some of those village politics, as you can all see. So it's all kicked off there, but we knew it'd all kick off there. if there's one thing my Bangladeshi brethren are excel at, it is beating the crap out of each other. It's something I do my best to avoid. The news is Amanda Chadderton is out. Amanda Chadderton is out. We're winning, Andrew. We're winning. I know. So look, let's look at this. Where have we come up short? Failsworth, we've lost 2 seats because of stupidity, infighting. We need to fix this, and it can be fixed, and it must be fixed. That's why we've lost 2 seats in Failsworth, because of infighting. We can get one of them back next year. We've won 1 seat in Royton South, where we took out the Labour Party leader. We would have taken the other 2 if the electorate had recognised the names of our candidates instead of mistakenly voting for Anthony Prince, who doubled his vote to 400. If that hadn't happened, and the people knew who they're meant to be voting for, we would have finished 2nd and 3rd there as well. So we'll take one next year. We'll take out one of the Bashforths. I think it's Marie Bashforth. We'll campaign against her and we'll take her out next year. In Hollingwood, the Conservatives have took a seat. We're waiting to hear what's happened in Royton North. In St James, the Conservatives have held. And Amoy came 4th, just, she ran a good campaign. We're doing well. This is no walk in the park. We know this is a fight. We're fighting for the future of a town. Josh Charters, 743 in St James. Angela Cosgrove, 848. Beth Sharp, 871. So Beth holds for 4 years. That's the best result we could have had. Jacob Sharp came up short with 705. So he was 40 short. Just on the 38th short. No, Leanne Munro got 731. Brilliant. So Leanne Munro is up next year. The girl from Delft is up next year. 731. Jacob Sharp lost by 26 votes. They held on by 26 votes, Labour there, against a Conservative in this climate. They held on by 26 votes. And Amoy did really, really well with 552 votes. No, Leanne Munro's out. Sorry, that's my fault. Leanne Munro is out. Leanne Munro, who was in last year, who voted to cover up the grooming and gang rape of our town's children, is out. How do you feel, Leanne Munro? Leanne Munro, you looked at me when I marched up to the council podium and shared what I thought of all of them. You looked at me like I was some sort of shit off your shoe, didn't you? No, I'm a northern working class bloke, Leanne, who is outraged at the cover-up, your party's cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of my town's children. You looked at me like I was vermin. Well, the people of St James have shown you who is the real vermin here. You are out. You have been defeated. Back to Delphi you go. Back to Delph you go. Failsworth West, Sandra Ball got 1,010. Peter Davis from Labour got 929, so that's a Labour Party vote holding. He's in. Paul Fryer got 854. Alan Brady, 769. Mark Wilkinson, 751. That's why you've got 2 Labour councillors in there. And the Failsworth Independent, who split the vote. And the consequence of this is why you've got 2 Labour councillors. Failsworth Independent Party, hold your head in shame. This is why you have, in Failsworth West, 2 Labour Party councillors. They put up a candidate there when they promised they would not put a candidate there. Her name is Jane Cashinelli. She got 409 votes. If those votes had gone the way they should have done, then Mark Wilkinson and Alan Brady would have been over the line. Shame. Absolute shame. It can be resolved. It can be resolved. Sorry, David, nothing yet. Nothing on Waterhead and Oldham Hart. I don't think Oldham Hart, I mean, I like Paul Taylor, and I think he's done a really good job as a chairman, really, of the independent movement. But I don't think he's campaigned well enough, David. But we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. I feel for Mark Wilkinson. Genuinely feel for him. The amount of hard work he's put in. So next year, it will be Josh Charters. It will be Josh Charters who will be campaigning for a seat against either Amoy or the Conservatives. The Lib Dems are nowhere there, by the way. The highest Lib Dem was 238. So Amoy comfortably beat the Lib Dems. So far, that's been declared, that's come up on my end. We've got 2 independents in so far. One in Maggie Hurley in Royton South. And we've got Sandra Ball in Failsworth West. Both finishing top. Both there for 4 years. Both there for 4 years. Gives us a base to build on. Both decent people. Both decent people. If you're joining us late, my name is Miah. I have been leading the campaign to hold to account this corrupt council and expose their role in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. In 2021, we defeated Sean Fielding at the ballot box, Labour Party stronghold of Failsworth West, the Labour Party leader. We took him out. Last year in Chadderton South, the Labour Party leader, Arooj Shah, we took out in the Chadderton South stronghold for Labour. And this year in 2023, in the Royton South stronghold for Labour, we have defeated Amanda Chadderton, the leader. She has also been sent packing. This is a community-led campaign, and we have not even got warmed up yet. We are not even warmed up yet, because we are not going to stop at taking out council leaders. We want to take control of this council and force a government-led public inquiry into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children, specifically with a focus on the role of James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon, who was at the time leader of Oldham Council and is now shadow minister. We do not want a senior government minister, one day senior government minister, complicit in the cover-up of the gang rape of our town's children. And we want an inquiry and an investigation into him, because he is the one who should be held to account. These Labour Party leaders are falling one after another in order to protect him. In order to protect him. I'm in no doubt of that whatsoever. We can't tell anything yet, I'm afraid. Pauline, I think Labour are winning. I think they'll keep control. I think we'll find out. It's because we've lost seats. We've lost seats in Failsworth. That's why. That's why. Breaking. According to Charlotte Green 1 minute ago, it is apparently breaking. Oldham Council leader Amanda Chadderton has lost her seat in Royton South. It's not breaking, Charlotte Green. We have taken out Amanda Chadderton. Charlotte Green, by the way, has blocked me on Twitter because Charlotte Green from the Manchester Evening News is complicit in the cover-up. She helped Oldham Council criminalise Warren Bates, who has been prevented for a year from attending council meetings because someone in the council complained that he had harassed Charlotte Green. I was a witness to that, as was 20 other people. None of that took place whatsoever. Charlotte Green could have cleared his name and issued a statement that no such interaction took place, particularly after the police confirmed there was no police action to be taken. This is tyranny in this town, and Charlotte Green, the Manchester Evening News reporter, your local democracy reporter, is neck deep in the cover-up. Neck deep. Here are the scenes as the results in Royton South are confirmed by the chief executive. A big shock for many, but there have been mutterings early on that the independents posed a real risk, a threat. What did you think we were doing? Did you think we come here to play? We're not here to play. These are the lives of our children. We are not here to play games. Let me bring it up. Let me try and bring it up on my phone if I can. Charlotte Green's video footage.
Do hereby give 4th of May 2023. Do hereby give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at the election is as follows. Bashforth Marie Ann, Labour Party, 978. Bashforth Stephen, Labour Party, 944. Chadderton Amanda, Labour Party, 923. Garner Jeffrey, Liberal Democrats, 148. Gosling Russell John Thomas, Liberal Democrats, 215. Hughes Jade Louise, Independent, 837. Hurley Maggie, Independent, 1039. Onochenko Alexander Anthony, for Future's Sake, Freedom Alliance, 71. Pencoth Tom, Liberal Democrats, 199. Prince Anthony Joseph, Independent, 427. Ratcliffe Darren Anthony, Independent, 757. There were 18 votes rejected for voting for more than one candidate, and 18 void for uncertainty, giving 36 rejections in total. And so I do hereby declare that the said Marie Ann Bashforth and Stephen Bashforth and Maggie Hurley are duly elected to the Royton
Marie Bashforth, we're coming for you. We are coming for you, Marie Bashforth. Get ready. We are coming for you. We've just took out your leader. We are coming for you. The other two independents did really, really well. Indeed, they did really, really well. For those of you joining me, it is 5 minutes to 5. It's 5 minutes to 5. The day after the elections in Oldham, and we have taken out Amanda Chadderton. We have taken out Amanda Chadderton. Bittersweet for me, really. Bittersweet for me, really. I'd hoped to get all three over the line. I'd hoped to get Amoy over the line. Gary over the line. But at the same time, we, the people of this town, have just defeated the third successive Labour Party leader of Oldham Council. Third successive Labour Party leader of Oldham Council, defeated at the ballot box. Defeated at the ballot box for no other reason than we refuse to remain silent to the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children by the Pakistani rape gangs.
Too often, I'll say bare-faced lies. I'll say bare-faced lies. I'll say bare-faced lies. Again, bare-faced lies. Too often, I'll say bare-faced lies. I'll say bare-faced lies. I'll say bare-faced lies. Again.
It's like, yeah, we got an agenda, and it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wanna wear it's all gonna end, yeah. Do you feel me, we never wanna defend, yeah. 'Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shooting cold, overgrown, postal road, bare-faced lies.
Bare-faced lies. Bare-faced lies.
Hey Sean, you got a party, got that Labour party going on there. Kick to the left.
Sorry, I'm laughing at this. Of course it's not true. I think it's satirical. Yeah. Wow. I'm still waiting for news elsewhere. Plenty more seats to be fought out. Chadderton Central, Chadderton South, we're still waiting to hear back from. Saddleworth South, we're waiting for confirmation of, to see how that has played out. And we're still waiting for the chaos in Calder's, Medlock, Werneth. Werneth actually is interesting because the Labour Party are under a lot of pressure from the Lib Dems there, so maybe there'll be some Labour Party losses. I'm getting text messages about Brian Hoban. I can't really share the confirm or deny. Otherwise, I would be surprised if it's true, because he's just stood as the candidate for the Failsworth Independents. News is that, or news is the wrong word. Rumours are that he is switching sides to Labour. I can't see that. Honestly, I can't see that. Who's going to be the Labour Party leader? Who's going to be the Labour Party leader? Will they give it to Arooj Shah and the circus that she has with her? The entourage that she has with her? Will they give it to Arooj Shah? Remember her, whatever he is, was convicted this morning, which is why I'm dressed in a tie, by the way. Was convicted this morning in a court of law for breaching his restraining order against me. So Irish Jimmy was convicted this morning at Manchester Court. Helen Bishop is a councillor. Oh my. Helen Bishop has got over the line as a Lib Dem. Remember, she was an independent for a long, long time. She was an independent. And she's got over the line in second place. Max Woodvine finished in third. That means McManus is out. So that was short-lived. Graham Sheldon finishes in first place with 1,449. Helen Bishop finishes in second with 1,225. I have my ups and downs with Helen, but I know her from a past life, and congratulations to her. That's a massive amount of votes to break the Conservative stranglehold in Saddleworth. I know she lives up there, so well done to Helen Bishop. She's over the line with 1,225. And Max Woodvine finished third with 1,176. So the Conservatives have lost one seat in Saddleworth South. I'm not quite sure yet where Gary Tarbuck finished and how far away he was, but we'll find out. We'll find out. Oh, trust you, mate. Trust you. Max One. Don't know who he is. Don't know who he is. Got Miah Budding phoning in, so let's bring him up. Miah, you're on speaker and you're on live. Hold on, hold on.
Amanda's gone apparently. I'm hearing.
Yeah, we know Amanda's gone. That's old news, mate.
Where's she gone?
Yeah.
Oh, is it old news? Alright then. I've just been driving, that's why.
All right. Yeah, all news. And
No worries.
what's up? So Fails of Independence. I've lost. I've taken all 3 seats in the East. Yeah. And 2 Labour seats have gone in the West. So there's only one of the Independents or whatever was left in the West. So that's the other news. You guys, you Lib Dems are doing well. I'm just reading. Helen Bishop has took one in Saddleworth North. Saddleworth South.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. And you. Well, once you do phone me, all right.
I was in the count. Amanda's gone. Well, I just want to get that Talib result.
Okay. Well, you get that. All right. All right.
Okay, bye.
My friend Moyeb and all of them, they're obsessed with the colder stuff, and I don't get involved. You know, beyond getting involved like I do everywhere else. I don't focus on it, because that is what racism is. When they ghettoise in such a way, when you only care about a little bit here that you're looking at, rather than the bigger picture, and you fight over the crumbs. It's one of the reasons this council hates me. So the Fails of Independence have taken all 3 seats in the East. We're waiting for Waterhead. I know David Nestor's waiting for Waterhead. Waiting for Alexander, Werneth, Chadderton South, Chadderton Central, Royton North, Chadderton North, which will be interesting as well. I've got nothing to say to you guys. I'm up and down. I'm just up and down. I think my biggest disappointment has got to be the stupidity in Failsworth. The stupidity in Failsworth. At the same time, we've took out Amanda Chadderton. And if it hadn't been for Anthony Prince, we'd have took out the Bashforths. But they'll be gone next year. One will be gone next year without a doubt. A shadow of a doubt. Crompton was. You're looking somewhere. I don't know where you're looking, Tracy, but if you're looking somewhere, I can't see it. But if all three Liberals are in, that's not a surprise, is it? That's not a surprise. In Crompton, I didn't, I never expected anyone to get in Crompton. Gary Tarbuck, let's see what he's got to say. Gary, you're on speaker. All right, so just letting you know. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hanging around.
Sorry, mate, I can hear you now. Go on.
Do you hear what I said?
No, you start again, mate.
Sorry, I'm just on the way home now. They've stayed there to watch the Mark Kinsey show, but apparently that's out. So yeah, chuffed about Amanda.
It's a shame, mate. It's a shame because if it wasn't for Anthony Prince, we'd have got all three of them over the line, won't we?
Yes, exactly, and that's very annoying. That.
Yeah, and the Failsworth fallout. You saw that. That's what happens, doesn't it? When you fall out, when you shouldn't fall out. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Brian today, mate, he's fucking annoyed me.
Mate, you're live on the thing, by the way, so you can swear, mate, if you want. But I'm just letting you know you're live on my thing. Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right.
No way. Yeah, it's just so bad to watch, isn't it? To see that happen, and I felt dead sorry for them. And I just think, what do you do with this now with them and how that's gone? Because they were supposed to be like the inspiration for everybody, weren't they? And then that happened. So, yeah. So.
What did you end up with, Gary? Because I don't know.
I came last, mate.
Oh.
600 or something, I think. It was.
Oh, but 600, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have a rest now and for the family time. I owe it on.
No, you do, mate. You do.
And yeah, like last year, mate. When you come my way and your mind's all over the show and you're wondering what to do next. And no doubt I'll works around where I've got it. What I do next? I might just campaign with somebody and help them. Do you know what I mean? Maybe do that, or we'll carry on with the plan. Depends on the interest. But that today, it's like.
It's bittersweet, isn't it? I was just sharing. It's bittersweet, mate. We've got rid of her, but we wanted more, didn't we? Mate, we're now no longer content with defeating council leaders. We want more.
Well, this is it. You see, I mean, if a Ruth Shaw does take over, which is the talk of the floor at the time, and everybody's saying the same thing, then it's what do we do with that? I've got ideas in my head, and I'm sure you have, mate. How that is run and how we play that one. It's we've just got from a small dartboard to a large dartboard, haven't we?
Yeah.
Potentially with that one. So yeah, so it's weird, mate. It's funny. It's like you see some of the candidates getting in. Joshy.
Yeah.
Fryer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you look at it, you think. Really?
Yeah, but they're up next year. Fryer's up next year. Josh is up next year. I'm already looking at 2 seats we can take next year, mate. Sorry, mate. That's where I am. I'm looking at 2 seats I can take next year. We can take Josh out. We can take Fryer out.
Yeah. I totally. You know what I mean, mate. But it's just.
And Woodvine's the last one, mate. Woodvine's up next year. We know we can take Woodvine out.
Yeah. Put a positive spin on and get my tail wagging again.
Mate, we've look what we've achieved. Just look what we've achieved across the town.
Yeah, mate. I don't know. I've had a smile on my face today, mate.
Mate, and the other thing. Sorry, mate. I'll just stop. The Oldham Borough Independents, they're finished now, mate. Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, it's what we've been saying, and they're finished.
Yeah,
they're done with.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think. But it was, Maggie today when she got it, and Maggie and Jeanette, tears in their eyes. It was magical. It was nice. Really nice, man. I just wanted to go over and give her the biggest squeeze ever. Do you know what I mean? It was. I was so chuffed for him.
Mate, all I can say to you is, and those of you who are joining me, Royton South, the man who did the most miles with all my leaflets and have been helping tirelessly, even though he stood in Saddleworth, is Gary Tarbuck. You worked with me. John worked his nuts off, mate. But we work, mate. We work together. We all work together as a team. This did not happen by accident. What are you seeing? What you've witnessed in Royton South did not happen by accident. It's been months in the planning. And it needed, I'll say it now, mate, live whilst you're here, it needed the Tories to work with us because they didn't put candidates up. They didn't split the vote, did they? They realised that they couldn't win in Royton South, and they retreated.
Yeah, you did totally. I just wish that the independent lad, what's he called, Prince?
Yeah, Anthony Prince, but he is what he is, mate,
Will he stand again next year? He keeps standing every year, doesn't he?
It doesn't matter because by next year the Royton Independents will be properly constituted with their own banner, and people will see the sign on the ballot paper. It makes a difference, mate. Seeing the sign on the ballot paper makes a difference. I think if this election result has taught us anything, in Saddleworth, in Royton South, and also in Failsworth West, is that people want to stand behind. It's not just local independents; they want to stand behind a party, don't they? A local party that's named after them. That's named after them. Yeah.
Well, a few thoughts got me head, and it's do we get around the Royton and build that? I don't know. Do we carry on with doing a Saddleworth Independent Party and try and get numbers to Saddleworth and get candidates? And I'd be quite happy if we got 9 people who wanted to stand next year in Saddleworth and put them across the board, and better than me. Then I'll campaign for them. I'll do anything for them. You know what I mean?
Same with me, mate. Same with me. I'm not a politician. You're not. We're serving the best where we can. I think is what we've been doing. Yeah.
I'm happy to campaign. I like that edge to it. Sometimes when you're a candidate, you've got to play the game a little bit. You know what I mean? And behave. And I don't know. Sometimes I just like to get my hands, sleeves rolled up and get in amongst it. Where it's needed.
Mate, I'm happy. I'm happy for you, mate. 600 votes is not what I wanted, but I'm happy you're going home. You're right. You're going home to your family. Go and spend some time there, mate. And we'll have a drink as soon as you're free, and we'll work it out, mate. We'll work out where we're going because, sorry, mate, it's the same for me as it's for you. We're raising our kids here, mate.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. We're raising our kids here.
Well, the kids are getting more aware of it now. The questions they're asking, what does it mean that, and what does it mean this? And last 2 years, they were oblivious to it.
Well, you were around at my house yesterday, weren't you? And I'm telling my daughter, and she didn't believe me.
Yeah.
That I'm helping people across the town. I'm helping people to stand up for themselves. And she's looking at me like thinking, my dad's doing what? And I bet yours are the same. My dad's doing what? Because they're of that age now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They're asking questions. They're taking interest. And, I just thought we achieved something, mate. So when we're gone, our kids are looking at and thinking, and when they see the crap that Wildy puts on and all that lies and bullshit and all that smear, they look back and go, no, that's crap. They did good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so there you go.
Mate, I'll let you go. Mate. I'll give you a call in a bit. I'm just wrapping up, mate. I'm waiting for the other results to come in, mate, because I think we owe it to everyone who stood to hang out until the results come in. Yeah.
Yeah, let me know if I'm ringing, mate. You're online.
Okay. Sorry, mate. All right.
No, it's fine.
I'll see you soon, mate. All right.
Onwards and upwards.
Take care, Gary. Take care. Bye. That was Gary Tarbuck. He says he finished last with 600 votes. I don't see 600 votes as last, do you? From a standing start in a ward he's never stood in, 600 votes. What has got a Conservative stronghold with the Lib Dems went in, and Helen's been campaigning there for a few years. So, no, I'm happy with that. I'm genuinely happy with that. And let's see what he wants to do next. Now tell me something, Tracy. Is Jenny Harrison last place in Alexander? Yes, she is, as in last of the ones to get elected. Chuan 1462, Mushtaq 1388, Harrison 1327. Jenny Harrison is up for re-election next year in Alexander. Be in no mistake whatsoever. We can take her out. We can take out Jenny Harrison in the Labour Party stronghold of Alexander. I wanted her to finish last, as in, finish last, as in finish third. Take the last of the places, so she's up for re-election next year. We can take out Jenny Harrison in Labour Party stronghold of Alexander next year. I already have a plan for it, and we can defeat her. Failsworth East Ward. Whoa. Brian Hoban 944. Hindle 877. Lucia Ray 866. So Lucia's up for re-election next year in Failsworth East. Royton South. Maggie Hurley, 1039. Marie Bashworth, 978. Still close. Stephen Bashworth, 944. So Stephen Bashworth is up for re-election next year. Oh, wow. $61 votes. Maggie Hurley got over the line by 61 votes. $61 votes. Do you think we were worth 61 votes? Do you think the crowdfunded campaign, the leaflets that we marched up and down Royton South delivering, do you think those were worth 61 votes? The 5,000 leaflets, the knocking on doors, the speaking to people? I think so. I think so. The same with Arood Shah. Same with Sean Fielding. We're proving to be the difference. We're proving to be the difference. Jade Hughes got 837. The Bashworths got 944. 100 votes. 105 votes. 55 votes. If you're wondering why I'm in a tie, the 500 of you who've watched or watching, it's because I was in court this morning. Irish Immy was convicted in a court of law for breaching his restraining order. You won't hear it from Neil Willaboobies. He wasn't in court first. I don't know if he rocked up to court, but he's been convicted in a court of law, and he was at the count in the afternoon. He was at the count in the afternoon. We, the people of this town, have taken her out. We, the people of this town, have taken her out, Amanda Chadderton out, and we have also stood up to the likes of Irish Immy and had him convicted in court. It does not matter whose arm he hangs off. It does not matter who he gets his references from. We have shown no fear in the courtroom. We have shown no fear at the ballot box, and we are holding them to account in a way the Labour Party has never been held to account anywhere in this country. I said to the Labour Party back then, I'll say it to them right now once again. You should have left me alone. You should have left my family alone. You should have left my friends alone. But you couldn't. You couldn't leave me alone. You wanted to criminalise me. You wanted to demonise me. And now look. Now look. It's because they've gained two, haven't they, Karen? They've gained 2 in bloody Failsworth West. Or gained 1. Gained 1 in Failsworth West, yeah. They've gained 1 in Failsworth West because they already had 1 anyway. I am standing, mate. All my Asian friends in particular, my white friends accept it, you know, that I'm going to stand as MP. I am standing. I'm standing for MP next year. I'm taking on James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon. I have a strategy, I have a plan, and I'll do my best. We'll hold that Pakistani rape gang. Is it protector? Is it enabler? Is it facilitator? I don't even know what the right adjective is. But we will hold him to account at the ballot box. We're coming for you, Jim McMahon. The people of this town are coming for you, and I will be front and centre of that. I'll be front and centre of that. Chaddington South is in. I'm not sure where Warren finished, but Labour finished 1, 2 and 3. Shuttleworth 12.28. Goodwin 12.19. Harrison 11.92. Warren Bates did well, 529 votes, so he finished in 4th place. He beat the Conservatives, all 3 of the Conservatives, the Liberal Democrats. Warren finished with a very respectable 529 votes. Well done to Warren Bates. An 84-year-old man went to fight for you, Chaddington South. Labour Party have took back control of all 3 seats in Chaddington South. In Compton, and this is interesting, Lee Navesey, so, you know, the other independent from the Shaw and Crompton Independents, got 736 seats, is the first, votes. It's the first time they contested Compton. So the Lib Dems all got, the lowest was 1,087 and they got 736. That's really interesting. Let's see how it holds for the Labour Party. Nearly got a candidate over the 9. Laura Fryer, 848 in Failsworth. Nearly got her over the line in Failsworth West, but the Failsworth Independents managed to hold on to that. Still waiting for Hollingwood. Medlock Vale, we know what's going to happen. It'll be Free Labour. We're still waiting on Royton North. Councillor Maggie Hurley. Councillor Maggie Hurley. Gary Tarbuck out of nowhere, 663 votes. That's plenty to build on. The Independents are finished in Saddleworth, Western Leeds. Lib Dem 1600, 1483, 1563. So they're getting 1500 votes. And Paul Chilton got 660. Decent, decent support. But he got 1,200, I think, last time. Sure, we're waiting on St James's, Amoy, 522. And the closest one was Josh Charters, 743. Jacob just missed out. Jacob Sharp just missed out, 705 to 743. 30 to 35 votes, 36 votes. Warren, 500 plus from nothing. 500 plus from nothing, yeah. He should be proud of himself. Waiting on St Mary's, waiting on Waterhead, waiting on Werneth. That's in Waterhead, isn't it, Harry? That's in Waterhead, the mosque across the road and the HMOs and stuff and dodgy deals, yeah. Whatever you do, Harry, don't go and take a video outside a mosque. You'll be accused of being a racist. And the police might come and arrest you at 6 in the morning. They'll have to let you go 14 hours later, but police food isn't all that. Indeed. So the Lib Dems have gained the seats essentially so far. Yeah, so they're on for to be 10, depending on what happens in Shaw. We're waiting on the Shaw results, really. Yeah, for the Lib Dems. Mate, I'm telling you, I can take Alexandra with Jenny Harrison being up next year. And if Ross Birch is the one who finishes third in Waterhead, I can take Waterhead as well. Trust me. I know exactly how to take Waterhead. I know exactly how to take Alexander. And you're right, you working class Pakistanis have had enough. And you're right to have had enough. Jabbar will finish first, I'm afraid, Steve, in Coal Dust with what's gone on. I'd put money on that. If you're joining me as I'm just waiting for more results to come in, please consider buying me a coffee if you can afford to do so. It costs you £2. There's over 500 or there's over 600 of you watching this, so or have watched this, so clearly it provides you with some value. And there's 58 of you who've liked it, so at the very least like, and if not, subscribe to the channel. We're still waiting on some results to come in. Chadderton North has come in, it seems, and it's all Labour. So Chadderton North, where the Conservatives were hoping to make gains, I couldn't see it really, but they were optimistic. But Chadderton North, with the redrawn boundaries, all three of those seats have gone to Labour. Barbara Brownridge 1299, McLaren 1242, Eddie Moore's 1218. So strong Labour showing there. 1250, 12 to 1300 votes. Yeah, they held that very comfortably. No, I don't think there was any postal vote or block vote in Chadderton North, really. It's a mainly white ward. The newly formed Chadderton North one is mainly a white ward. The national trend, the Conservatives were getting no traction though whatsoever. And they put up some candidates that, you know. And these councillors aren't younger than McLaren, Eddie Moores, Barbara Brownridge. Comfortably held. Comfortably held. I wasn't expecting anything there. There was an outside chance in Chadderton Central of getting a Conservative over the line, so we'll see what happens there. And of course it's Shaw. We're waiting on Shaw. And whether Mark Ince has got over the line. Mate, now you've put it like that, I'm going to go and put my kettle on and get myself a cup of tea, and I will be back, I think is what I'm going to do, mate. Mark Hinz has won. Mark Hinz has won. Mark Hinz has got more votes than Sykes and the Gloucesters. Mark Hinz has smashed them. Mark Hinz has smashed them in Shaw. He has taken the Lib Dem stronghold of Shaw. Mark Hinz has won in Shaw. Come on! Come on! He's been at it for 3 years. He finally went independent. I told him, go independent, Mark. Stand for the people of Shaw on the banner of Shaw. I am chuffed to bits for Markins. I am chuffed to bits for Markins. He has taken out the Sykes and the Gloucesters. He has broken the Lib Dem stranglehold in Shaw. Mark Hinz is your new councillor, people of Shaw. Celebrate. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You'll have to excuse me, this is my breakfast. And Mark is the model for me for Amoy in St. James and for Gary Tarbuck in Saddleworth. You build, you continue to believe in yourself, you stay where you are and you build. He has beaten Howard Sykes. Come on! Come on! That's 2 leaders we've took out today. 2 leaders we've took out. We've took out the Lib Dem leader and the Labour Party leader and the leader of Oldham Council. Come on. Oh, yes. The Conservatives have taken all 3 seats in Royton North. Lewis Quigg, Dave Arnott, and his wife, I think Christine Adams, I don't know, 1255. Labour have lost a seat in Royton North. The Conservatives have taken all 3 seats in Royton North. And Markins has won in Shaw. Wow. So the Lib Dems gained 1 in Saddleworth North and gained 1 in Saddleworth South, so they would have been up to 11. But they've been took out in Shaw. I don't know any of it yet, mate. All I know is Mark Hintz's wife sent me a message. I won't bring it up. She's spellings all over the place because it's clearly she is just ecstatic for her husband, and so she should be. So she should be. But Hintz won. Hintz finished top. Do you see? Do you see what ordinary people can do? Do you see the power of an organised opposition community focus? I use the word insurgency because this is what it is. It is a working class insurgency. Says him eating his Walker's French fries and drinking a cup of tea. It should have been a mug of tea, shouldn't it? Should have been in one of my... should have been... Mark Ince, 998 votes. Howard Sykes, 938. Hazel Gloucester, 911. Chris Gloucester is out. Hazel Gloucester is ready to be taken out at the next election next year. Royton North, Dave Arnott, 1289. C. Adams, 1255. Lewis Quigg, 1182. Lewis Quigg has got to stand for re-election again next year. Shame that, really, but he's in. He's in. He's in. Medlock, predictable. 2,000 a time. 2,000 a time for the Labour Party lot. Waterhead, 1,400, 1,300, 1,253. Ross Birch, that's exactly what I wanted. Ross Birch is up for re-election next year. Just as in Alexandra, we can take one out. Just as in... Sarah Hints is sending me messages. I want to see Sykes' face. Well, Sarah, photograph Sykes' face and send it me. Photograph his face and send it me. Photograph it and send it me. We can take out Ross Birch. We can take out Jenny Harrison. And we can take out whoever the other one was. Sorry, I've lost count. But the ones who are finishing third are the ones I want to finish. Paul Fryer, we can take out in Failsworth West. We can take these people out. The Free Labour Party who finished last, I've got the third seat. They're the weakest ones. We can take them out. Indeed, look at us now, Karen. Eating crisps, eating French fries for breakfast at bloody 5 to 6. For those of you joining me, my name is Raja Miah. About 5 years ago, I came back to my hometown of Oldham. My mother is terminally ill. I have a daughter from a separated relationship. I promised myself I had to do the right things for both of them. One was to tend to my mother and see her out. And the other one was to make sure that my daughter grows up knowing who her father is. It has cost me dearly coming back to the communities where I was raised because I have never been able to keep my mouth shut. I was having some food at Amoy's kitchen today in town. I stopped through there on my way to wish her well. And I bumped into a very, very old friend of mine. I'd not seen her for 30 years. Her name is Adele Thompson. And she said hello to me and we were chatting. And she was asking about my daughter. And I said, always giving it this. And he goes, no different than you. And I thought to myself and laughed. Adele and I started infant school together. There are those who would like to claim, Oldham isn't my town, as though I belong somewhere else. I don't. It's my town, and these were my children. The children who were groomed and gang raped, I consider my own. And I will not sit silently and look the other way, whilst the politicians in our town look the other way because of the power of the bloc Muslim vote. I can't. I won't. I've been in prison, police cells and more at times in the last few months than I've been in my entire life. And all because I refuse to look the other way, and I've led this campaign. And today, we took out the third successive council leader in a row. And we have also just defeated the Liberal Democrats in the stronghold of Shaw. Unbelievable. Unbelievable set of results coming through. And to my friends who've come up short, we're not going anywhere. This is our home, lads. We're not going anywhere. We'll beat them next year. We'll beat them next year. And indeed, Amanda, today was another step in the direction of we are taking our town back. I said it from the beginning and I'll keep on saying it. We are taking our town back. And my friends in the Labour Party, honestly, and for those who genuinely know me, I would much rather be playing with children in a sandpit or educating them in a classroom and helping them grow up to be the best they can be, because that is what my genuine skill set is. But I can do this. I can do this. So, in Waterhead, the closest was Paul Taylor with 329 from the Oldham Hearts. 329 to the 1253, which was the lowest of the Labour Party. That's 900 votes. We can win in Waterhead. Watch me. We can win in Waterhead. Moyab's messaging me. Apparently, the coldest count is effing hours away. There were 17 candidates in coldest. We won't stay for that. Well done to Dave Arnott. Dave Arnott has openly supported us. Well done to Lewis Quigg, who stood up in the council chamber and advocated on your behalf. I disagreed with him on many things with our fallings out, but well done. I don't have to agree with you all the time. Well done. You stood up for what was right and you've got over the line. Well done. And you don't want to hear me crunch my crisps. Sorry, this is my breakfast. This is genuinely my breakfast. If you find value on these transmissions whilst I finish these crisps off, please press like, please press share, and if you can, consider buying me a coffee and subscribing to the channel. As predicted, the Liberal Democrats, Harkness has took a seat in Saddleworth North. Pam Byrne, Luke Lancaster, and the Garth Harkness, Lib Dem, is over the line. So the Lib Dems have took a seat in Saddleworth North and in Saddleworth South. They've lost one in Saddleworth West and Leeds. They're on 10 seats. That is from Labour. So the Lib Dems have took it from Labour. Steve, that's correct. I'm not worried about that because I'm already looking beyond this year. I'm already looking beyond this year because they'll be the weakest of the Labour candidates we can take. Again, in Saddleworth North, I've got to wait for the results to come up. I want to see where the Oldham Borough independents were because, you know, in an ideal world, we wanted Gary to stand where he lives, which was Saddleworth North, but these idiots wouldn't work with us. They wouldn't work with anyone. They know-it-alls. Well, where's it got you? Where's it got you? I hear they didn't even get to the count. I hear they didn't even get to the count. Sorry, I shouldn't say idiots really, should I? But you understand what I mean. It's frustration. It's frustration. The inability of the independents to work together for the greater good because they all say they believe in the same things, I find really frustrating. I genuinely find really, really frustrating. Ross Birch. Ross Birch. Neil Wilby's mate, Ross Birch. Are you ready? Are you ready, Ross Birch? No, Arus is in St. Mary's. Oh, wow. If that has happened, that is spectacular. If all Hollingwood has gone Conservatives, Labour are now in freefall in Oldham. Labour are in freefall in Oldham. Wow, wow, wow. The Labour Party stronghold of Hollingwood has been taken out by the Conservatives. Well, I use the term loosely. It's been taken out by the Pakistanis. The Pakistanis have had enough in Hollywood, have had enough of McMahon and said, we are standing up for ourselves. They have took out the Labour Party establishment. Hannah Roberts, gone. Kyle Piffian, who works for Jim McMahon, gone. The ambulance chaser, fire engine chaser, gone. All gone. Wiped out. Are you watching, Jim McMahon? Are you watching Arood Shah? Are you watching Neil Wilby? Are you watching Charlotte Green? Are you watching Kevin Fitzpatrick or whatever you're called, who was involved in covering up the gang rape of my children from the BBC? Are you watching what we are doing to you? Are you watching what this town is doing to you? It's really irrespective of what's taking place nationally. Are you seeing what we are doing to the Labour Party in Oldham? Are you seeing what we are doing to the Pakistani rape gang protectors? And here we have Pakistanis who want nothing to do with it, taking the fight, leading the fight, and saying they do not represent us and we do not want to see this covered up. We want these rape gang members brought to justice the same as anyone else. We want nothing to do with this. The Labour Party trap has failed. Well done, Hollywood. Jim! No samosas are going to save you, lad. We're coming for you. We are coming for you. Jim McMahon was extensively campaigning in Hollywood. They even brought up some senior ministers up from Bristol or somewhere. If you're finding value in this transmission, please consider liking, please consider subscribing, please consider buying me a coffee to keep me going. We are taking our town back across the 20 wards of Oldham. We are taking the fight to Labour, and in the areas where we're not, we know what we need to do to be better. I'm proud of every one of you. I am genuinely proud of every one of you. I remember when I first turned this equipment on, it looked nothing like this, by the way. I remember when I first turned this equipment on. I remember when I first wrote something and apprehensively posted it. This is a working class insurgency, as demonstrated in Hollywood. It is a cross-community working class insurgency, cross-party working class insurgency, taking the fight to the rape gang protectors, in particular James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon and the corrupt Labour Party. In Oldham, we have bucked a national trend. We are absolutely destroying them. We are holding them to account in wards across the town. We are holding them to account, and we are holding them to accountable for what they have said and what they have done and what they have refused to do. Andy Burnham, you were chased out of Royton yesterday, and today we've chased out Amanda Chadderton, your council leader, your third council leader. When is the Labour Party going to listen? When is it going to support calls for a public inquiry into the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of my town's children? When? I know Yvonne Erock lives in Hollywood. She's been campaigning in Hollywood. Well done, Yvonne. And well done for telling all of your people to vote for the Conservative candidates, and the fact that they're Asian should make no difference. Well done, Yvonne. You've done good. We're waiting for the St Mary's results. I know Aftab will be one of them. It's whether Aruj gets in, and she's apparently confident of getting in, or whether Aisha gets over the line. But best case for Labour, there is 2 seats in St Mary's. Best case in St Mary's is 2 seats. Labour are also under attack in Werneth, by the way. Under massive attack in Werneth. They're not going to get all 9, Steve. They're not going to get all 9. Yes, Julie, we have got them on the run. I'm pleased for your parents, Amanda. How was that baby, by the way? Last time I saw you, you were, you had adopted, I think, or you had fostered a small, this is me with my hands showing a bundle, a small baby. It was lovely to see you. It's lovely to also see your daughter, Charlotte. I've not seen her in a while, so please pass on my regards. We are saving our town. My friend, we are saving our town. My name is Raja Mia. Those of you who are new to me, my name is Raja Mia. I was a one-time government advisor. I used to help keep our country safe from extremists and those who would want to blow themselves up and blow us up. These days I do what I can for the people I call my own in a town I call mine. Carrie, I'm standing as NP candidate, independent MP candidate, against James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon at the next general election. And we're going to take him. We're going to take him. I'm not sure. Royton Independence. Where's the party? Why is my phone not bleeped with wherever the party is? Because once I'm finished here, I'm going there. Why is my phone not bleeped with details of where the party is? What's going on here, lads? Come on. Come on, Maggie. Where's the party? I hear maybe some Conservatives will be there as well. Hannah Roberts, Amanda. Hannah Roberts is a massive loss for the Labour Party. She does all the reading. She's the reader. She does all the analysing of the council papers and make sure everyone knows what they're doing. It's why they called the by-election the way they did, to bring her back in, because they desperately needed her. Getting rid of her is massive. And also she would have been one of the candidates for the next leader of Oldham Council. Labour Party leader of Oldham Council. She's now not there. Who did they give it to? They've got 2 candidates now. Barbara Brownridge. 3 candidates. Barbara Brownridge, Arooj Shah and her circus, or Abdul Jabbar. I'm coming to a party. Wherever the party is, David, I'm going to be there. Don't worry about it. Wherever the party is, I'm going to be there. To the 100 of you who are live watching right now, the 700 who've watched before now, I don't even know. If you find value in this, whatever this is, please press like, please press share. There's something pinned right at the top. That's a link to a Buy Me a Coffee site. The Buy Me a Coffee money actually pays for all my equipment and goes towards keeping my lights on. So if you find value, and come on, by now, surely I've demonstrated the value I bring. If you find value, please consider buying me a coffee. They were on 35 last year. Yeah? They're going to be on less. Can we take it to no overall control? I don't think so, unfortunately, because of the 2 bloody losses in Failsworth. Because of the 2 bloody losses in Failsworth. I wasn't going to do it because I didn't think I'd be home. But, you know, the court case was over and done with. And it looks like I got dressed up for this. Oh, so cool. I'm going to share this. Let me work out how to share it, but I'm going to share this. Look at this. Yeah? I'm trying to find it so I can get his wife in properly, but give me a second. That's the best I can do right now. Nice, yeah? Absolutely nice. Chuffed to bits for the lad. Chuffed to bits for the lad. I find it remarkable that you don't turn up for your own trial, you know, for a trial. Werneth, huge. St Mary's, huge. I fear Coldus will go all Labour, by the way. So the detail in Hollingwood, yeah. The Oldham Borough Independents, Barbara Whitehead 279, Ian Whitehead 221, and John Lawrence 205 National Housing Party. Can we now put this nonsense to bed? Please, can we now put this nonsense to bed? Because the Conservatives, out of 964, only got over the line by 20 votes. Hannah Roberts got 944. 20 votes. And when they get over the line this close, it's because the independents, the way they are, they stupidly split the vote. Swallow your ego. And in wards, if you want to beat Labour, because first base is beating Labour, is you've got to vote Conservative when you need to. And the people who did that in Hollingwood, well done to you. Well done to every one of you. Because you are responsible for taking out 3 Labour Party councillors in a Labour Party stronghold. Well done. That is conviction. Doing the right thing despite how you feel. That is the definition of sacrifice. Well done to you. The town owe you. Every ward in this town owes you to the people of Holynood. Well done to you. And the Oldham independents nearly screwed it for everyone. I don't take delight in this. I don't take delight in this. Apparently Arooj Shah's won, but let's see what the what that looks like rather than she just won. St Mary's, brilliant. Aftab got 2,361, so it's come first. Ali Salamat, 2,007. No, Arooj Shah's got 2,743, so she's come first. Aftab comes second, and Akil's come third, and Isa came fourth with 1,658. So shame on that. Arooj Shah has overwhelmingly got a mandate in St Mary's with 2,743. Wow. That's fine. We can deal with her. She is now contained in Glodick. Contained in the Pakistani whatever it is of Glodick. Contained. So we'll see what she does. But Aftab's there. The independents got over the line. Perfect. The independent candidate there is over the line. Thanks for the coffees. Thank you very, very much for the coffees. Wornathan Coldust. There's nothing going to be interesting, I think, Stephen Coldust. I think it'd be either all 3 will go Labour or two will stay Labour. How has Arooj Shah got so many votes? How do you think? How do you think? One of the blogs who was campaigning for her just got convicted this morning. So. Steve, come on. What are the numbers, Steve? Come on, what are the numbers? You got a spreadsheet going on there. Tell us what the numbers are. I couldn't possibly comment, Karen. I couldn't possibly comment on that, but definitely on that, John. They keep coming back, don't they? They keep coming back. I agree with you. See, postal votes do need to be stopped. Aftab's done well. Six seats left, 26 Labour, 10 Lib Dem, 11 Con, 7 Indie and FIP. So the Conservatives are the main opposition. So the highest Labour can finish on is 32. The highest Labour can finish on is 32. If Failsworth hadn't self-destructed this council, we would have taken it to no overall control. If Failsworth hadn't self-destructed, we would have taken it to no overall control. But let's see what happens. Wonder if it's going to be interesting. Wonder if it's going to be interesting. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter for now. We're never going to get them down. Well, combined they couldn't. And the Lib Dems now that they've gained, they won't get into bed with Labour. Now that they've gained in Saddleworth, they won't get into bed. Openly anyway. Because they've took one in Saddleworth North, took one in Saddleworth South, and they'll be looking to think, okay, we've got 3 in Saddleworth West and Leeds, and they'll be looking to take all 3 seats in the other 2 Saddleworths. Well, I'm not worried about Arud Shah winning at all. I think I said that some time ago. Our target was getting rid of Amanda Chadderton, 1. Getting some independents, decent independents over the line, 2, which we have done. And getting it to no overall control, and looks like we came very close. And if it hadn't been for the stupidity in Failsworth, we would have managed that. It'd be Arud Shah. It'd be the circus that's Arud Shah, because she's come top. She's there for 4 years as well. So it'd be the circus that's Arud Shah. Bet they know who Irish Imido is in St Mary's, though, don't they? Ah, bugger. So that's got. So they've held all 3. Labour have held all 3 in Werneth. So that 29 with 3 left. 29 with 3 left. Look at those votes. 2,923. 2,788. 2,731. Wow. Oh my God. So Labour at 29 with 3 left to call, which will get it to 32. They keep hold of Oldham Council. Well, 3 left to call. They might, at the worst case, it'll be down to 31. They'll keep hold of Oldham Council. But I know we can take those seats. We can take those seats. We can make the 32 into the 20s next May. Massive step this evening. Massive step last night. Well done to all of you. We are taking our town back. We have reduced the Labour Party majority in this town. Where across the country they have been winning and winning big. We have knocked them back in this town. And not only have we knocked them back in this town, what we have also done is that we have taken out the 3rd successive council leader. To my friends in the Labour Party, I know the Lib Dems, not the Lib Dems, the Conservatives definitely, and the Independents will be putting forward a motion more stronger than ever before, calling for a public inquiry and an investigation into James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon's role in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. Vote that down. Vote that down at your peril. My name is Miah. For 5 years I have been leading this campaign. I'll do it for 5 more if I have to. A very good evening.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.